designed to rinse the maximum amount of money. Do you agree?
I mean, did he confirm any more? Has he spoken about it verbally?
I've not personally spoken to him, mate. I don't like to put words in people's mouths off the back of social media. No, I've not spoken to him about it, mate. I'm just going off what he's written on social media.
From what he's written, what he's suggesting is that the fight...
Talk Sport.
Good morning with your sports headlines. I'm Hugo Chambray. Eddie Howe has left Newcastle United after 5 years in charge. It's understood he had no plans to make an immediate return to management. While Howe was in charge of a pre-season friendly at Bristol City only last night, and after the match, he said he remained committed.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of change at the football club and potentially more to come. So I think there's always reason to be optimistic, and that's very much my default setting. Great things are possible every season. I think always go in with a real buzz of what's ahead. I see no reason to be any different this year.
Those were a big factor in his departure. Here's talkSPORT's Alex Crook.
The strategy this summer for Newcastle is that they're replacing those who leave with young, up-and-coming players from Europe. It's a gamble, I think, when you go down that road. And not only are they losing senior players, they're now losing the man who delivered their first domestic silverware in 7 decades.
Newcastle already have German manager Matis Jassel lined up as a replacement. The former Salzburg coach has been working with Saudi side Al Ahly. More on that story at talksport.com. European nations will meet today at an emergency UEFA meeting to discuss FIFA's plans to sell stakes in the World Cup. Gianni Infantino has been defending the plans for future tournaments as football's natural progression. The UK government says the World Cup is not for sale. And the Women's Open at Royal Lytham St Anne's is underway. World #1 golfer Nelly Corder is chasing a Grand Slam in Lancashire, while home hopes rest on the shoulders of England's Charlie Hull and Lottie Woad. More on our website at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
A holiday park has been evacuated in Suffolk because of a forest fire, and the BBC has axed its third gladiator this week. More from Cara at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With over 600 centres across the UK, most of which open 7 days a week, we're always there when you need us. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
Turning fresher from the north today, some sunshine, some showers, cloud and patchy rain moving southeastwards across England and Wales.
Good morning. It is talkSPORT. It is mid-mornings, and it is White and Jordan. Without White and Jordan, they're on their holidays. I'm Adam Catterall. Pleasure as always to be with you, and I'm with the Peterborough owner, Darragh McAnthony, as we get stuck into the big story of the day. We did have a plethora of things to talk about, but we're going to concentrate on just one particular thing. You've seen the news that Eddie Howe has left his Newcastle post. They've got a new manager in place for the new season. There's lots to talk about off the back of that, and if you're a Newcastle fan, I am sure you want to have your say. Telephone number for you is 03717 223344. Let's get stuck straight into it. Morning, Darragh. How are you, mate?
Well, I'm all right. I thought we'd be just talking about the boring Infantino stuff today, but that's... I'm on the train, and horrible experience that, by the way. And Alex Crook is basically winding me up, sending me a message going, I told you I was right. Because obviously I had a little to do with him on air the other day, defending Newcastle, their fans, Eddie Howe, and now he's gone. And I'm concerned for Newcastle fans with that one because, I thought, whatever, all the changes going on, the recruitment, the change of recruitment, losing some of the good players, the one denominator that do okay with would be Eddie Howe. Yeah. I rate him that highly. So, I saw his interview last night after the Bristol City game. Astonished, really. Really, really surprised.
Well, just to make matters worse for you.
No.
Are you ready?
No,
just
no,
to make
no,
matters
no,
worse
no.
for you, mate. Morning, Crookie.
Oh,
How are
no.
you, mate? You good?
No.
Good morning. I'm never one to say I told you so. I'm sure I never.
Crookie, you were first onto it this morning on the text, pal.
Oh, God, I got to see his ugly mug. No way. No way.
Well, do you know what? That clip did go viral, and I got a lot of stick from Newcastle fans.
Rightly so.
For suggesting that Eddie Howe was frustrated, but clearly he was and has been by the policy of the club to sell a lot of senior players, obviously going right the way back to Alexander Isak at the start of last season, Anthony Gordon, Tonali, potentially Bruno Guimaraes this season. And you look at the players they're coming in, yes, they're talented, but they're not proven in the Premier League. So I agree with Darragh. I think it could be a difficult season now for Newcastle. I think Eddie was very much the glue that was holding the club together. It's not a decision, from what I understand, that he's taken lightly, but he did inform the club several weeks ago that he felt his time there had come to an end, that now was the right time for a change. He stayed on while they find a successor. We know that successor is going to be Matthias Jasler, a German currently working over in Saudi Arabia for Al Ahly. They're a PIF-owned club, so that's going to be a relatively straightforward deal to do. But again, it's a gamble, isn't it, bringing in a manager from Saudi Arabia? And I know Newcastle fans were frustrated with the way that last season panned out, but I think when you look at his overall tenure, 5 years, they were looking over their shoulders towards the relegation places when he came in. He kept them up. He qualified twice for the Champions League.
Phenomenal.
Won that elusive first domestic trophy, lost another cup final, had some memorable nights along the way, like when they thrashed Paris Saint-Germain at St James's Park. And I think only now will those dissenting Newcastle fans, I still think it was a minority, only now will they realise just how good a job Eddie Howe has done.
Just clear that up for everybody, Crookie, because obviously there's a new man already in place. So therefore, it originally felt like when the news broke this morning that it was a Newcastle United decision to move Eddie Howe on. But you're saying there that this has been going on for a number of weeks.
Yeah, in fact, when I think he initially floated the idea that he would leave his position, Newcastle wanted him to stay at that stage. So this is very much a move driven by Eddie Howe. He parts amicably, still obviously has a deep affection, a love for the football club, but just feels that after 5 years, the time is right to hand over the baton to somebody new.
So it's all about really the recruitment this summer and obviously last summer. That's what it comes down to. And he obviously doesn't maybe have the energy to rebuild a team with younger players. Is that basically what's happened here?
It sounds like it, reading between the lines. Obviously, when I mentioned last week he was frustrated, that was having missed out on a couple of targets to the likes of Aston Villa and Brighton. And you go back to the Isak situation last summer, I think that was allowed to drag on too long and probably hampered their recruitment plans. Obviously, they didn't have a director of football last summer. They've got one now, but again, they found it hard to do deals. I've mentioned the players that have already left the football club. I would be surprised if Bruno Guimaraes is still a Newcastle player come the end of the transfer window. I think he's off to Arsenal. And it's going to be difficult because I think the owners have ambitions to compete for Europe. The chief executive has come on this programme and said that in 5 years' time they can be competing for the title. You can't do that if you keep selling your best players.
You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. That's how this kind of feels here from an Eddie Howe point of view. He's leaving Crookie with his stock incredibly high. What do you envisage for him next? Do you think another appointment in the Premier League, or is there international status?
Tuchel better not get smashed.
Yes, Mr. Tuchel. How do you see this playing out, mate?
Well, I've been a big advocate that Eddie Howe should be the England manager. I felt he should have been the man to replace Gareth Southgate. At that time, he had quite a big release clause in his contract, which I don't think the FA were willing to pay. From what I'm told, he's got nothing lined up. He has no immediate plans to return. He took quite a long time off, didn't he?
He did.
After leaving Bournemouth before taking the Newcastle job just to recharge. And I would imagine we'll see something similar. Having said that, if the FA did decide that they want to change manager, then I'm sure he'd be very interested.
Well, they've got time because, obviously the next couple of years it's the Euro Nations games before the actual championship. So even in a year, if they wanted to give Eddie Howe a year's break and they were thinking of changing, they could get him a year before the Euros start, right? And knowing Eddie Howe, he will definitely take time out with his family and then probably do the rounds on the media in 4 or 5 months' time when he wants his face back out there.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I'd imagine he'll keep a fairly low profile. Not someone who necessarily enjoys being in the spotlight, but hopefully we might be able to get him on this programme at some time and we'll reflect, as I say, on what I think is an incredible job that he's done at Newcastle. And I think it's going to be very hard for the new manager to replicate that, especially given the departures.
And what do we know about him, Matthias Jasel, the new man coming in?
Not a huge amount. I know Kev Hatchard, European football expert, has been tweeting this morning saying he thinks it's a good appointment for Newcastle. He's done brilliantly in Saudi Arabia. has got a reputation for playing fast football, the type of football that excites fans. I think he's a disciple of Ralph Rangnick from his time at Salzburg, according to Kev anyway. So, yeah, he seems to have a good profile, but as I say, it's going to be a difficult job for Newcastle. I don't see them as a team that can compete for Europe. Not when you look at the amount of money the teams that they would be competing with, the likes of Tottenham and Chelsea, Manchester United, are going to spend this summer in comparison to them.
Should they have been in for? I don't know if the timing works. If you're saying Eddie Howe's been thinking about this all summer, should Newcastle have been in for Glasner?
Potentially. I'm not necessarily saying all summer, but I'm saying certainly the last few weeks.
Okay.
Obviously, there was a decision at the end of last season when it looked like he could leave, when he decided he would stay on. So maybe the timeline for Oliver Glasner wouldn't quite work out. But we've spoken about this, haven't we? Football clubs having succession plans. So you'd like to think, if you were a Newcastle supporter, that this has always been the plan, that when Eddie Howe left, this guy would come in. Certainly that's what Brighton do. I mentioned that on breakfast this morning. Tony Bloom will already know who the next manager there will be come the time that Fabian Herzl leads the club.
What does it say about the Newcastle owners' interest in the club with an appointment like this?
Well, as I mentioned, financially, it's quite an easy deal to do, because he's basically he's swapping a PIF home club for a PIF home club. So it's not going to cost the earth in compensation. There is some kind of release fee in his contract, I believe. I guess the owner's ambitions, we can only properly judge them at the end of the transfer window, because there's still obviously a few weeks to go before a ball is kicked in the Premier League, and even longer before the window closes. But I've just felt for some time, despite what David Hopkinson has told us, that maybe the owners aren't quite as committed and ambitious as they were at the start of the project. Maybe they're frustrated by the PSR rules that obviously hampered their development. Yeah,
no doubt. Listen, before you clear off, how did you get on yesterday at Goodwood?
4 more winners yesterday.
Oh, man.
Absolutely flying at the moment. Back there for more success today, hopefully.
Look at him, he's having a whale of a time, isn't he? Well, thank you very much for dipping in to do your actual job. Much appreciated, mate.
No problem. And I appreciate the apology, Darragh.
Listen, I apologise to absolutely nobody.
Listen, I want you to have a quick listen to this, because on Monday, Carlton Cole was on this show, and he kind of insinuated that this is where he wanted Eddie Howe to end up going. So just take a listen to this from Carlton on Monday.
Listen, there's that thought that comes to mind, quit while you're ahead. Because, look, with managers, right, they get a bad run sometimes. And when I look at it, sometimes you don't have to get sacked. Why do you feel you have to get sacked? Maybe monetary, with the money part, maybe it's better to get sacked as a manager because you get the severance fee. But for him, it's like, come on, I might have to leave. I have to leave with a bit of pride here, because I can't see a future here, because it's just getting worse.
Do you think we'll get to that situation this season with Eddie Howe?
That he leaves.
That he gets frustrated, yeah.
Of course.
There's that saying,
he must be frustrated now, but he has to show a strong face, because he's lost all his best players.
Gary, welcome to the show, mate.
Hi, how you doing, guys? You all right?
Yeah, good, mate. Obviously, this is your team, your club. Carlton kind of predicted it on Monday. There's obviously a Crookie did Darragh last week on this as well. Sorry, mate. Where are you at with it?
Well, first of all, Eddie Howe deserves all the praise in the world. He's done a phenomenal job. I can't speak highly of him enough. But I think we just need to go forward now. I've had a look at this new manager. His win rate is through the roof. And I know people are going to say, well, it was in the Austrian league or it was the Saudi league. But at the same time, win rate is a win rate. And I know people are saying, who is he? But then again, who was Arsene Wenger before Arsenal?
Fair comment.
People were asking, who was he? And maybe it's time for a freshen up young manager. And if I'm being honest, Eddie looks tired towards the end of last season.
Yeah, you think maybe he gone a bit stale? I saw a few comments from the fans on Insta when I was on my way in, and it was a lot of he was stale, he looked tired, we weren't going anywhere anytime soon, the end of the season didn't end well. So you're coming from an optimistic point of view, unlike some of the fans who might be got the pitchforks out for the owners and everyone involved. You're actually optimistic about this appointment.
Absolutely. What I will say is we've bought quite a lot of good young talent this summer window. I think we need to take a little bit of a possible leaf out of Chelsea's book with them going after like Danny Welbeck, maybe a couple of solid pros, just to have around the training ground and to come on and make some changes on the football field from time to time. I think that I'd like to see that as well.
Top man, Gary. Thanks for your time this morning, mate. I can see that the phone lines have lit up like a Christmas tree, so we're going to get stuck into that next here on talkSPORT. Don't go anywhere.
Up and said you got 10 players better than John Stones.
No, but
I said all time. I didn't say Prem, but let's stick to Prem, all right? Let's do this.
Go on.
Virgil van Dijk, John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, Vincent Kompany.
Yeah.
That's 5.
That's 5.
All right.
Yeah.
Are we going Tony Adams?
Ooh, yeah.
No.
No, you're not going to say...
No, but go on.
Go on. I would.
Campbell.
I'd do Sol Campbell, defo.
And I'm a Tottenham
Sol
fan.
Campbell, come on. Come on, Jamie.
Keep going.
I'm going Sol Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh. Gary Pallister.
Carvalho.
Mate, come on.
Carvalho.
Don't help him. Why are you helping him? Carvalho's not better than John Stones.
Carvalho. Ricardo Carvalho.
Jamie,
Give
hear me
me a break, man.
On his day, prime to prime, one game for a final, Ledley King.
Yeah, Ledley King. What, you telling me Ledley King? Oh, come on, Jamie.
Listen, Jamie, not the career, but for one game in his prime.
I watched John Stones playing the Champions. Good morning. You're listening to talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall Darragh McAnthony. Alongside me as we address the news that Eddie Howe has walked away from his role as Newcastle United manager. There's a new man in place. We'll be talking about him a little bit later on, but I think it's only fair that we take your calls. Newcastle fans, get involved with the show. 03717 22 344. Dave, welcome. How are you, mate?
Morning, guys. How are we doing? All right?
Morning. Yes, mate. How are you doing? Listen, waking up to this news.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably the exception to the rule. We've had the argument over a pint before the match. Season 2.
I thought you were going to say before breakfast. Then I thought you were all in on this Thursday morning.
No, early start on a Thursday morning, unfortunately. I thought Eddie should have gone before the end of last season. I think he's plateaued, and unfortunately, he hasn't had the backing of the club. I mean, we've lost 4 of your heartbeat. With Bruno goes, and maybe even Joe might be next. I'm really disappointed with the backing. I mean, the club or the owners have bought a plot of land up north of the airport, around the airport, and that's going to be the development of the new training facility, apparently. We've done nothing with it. We've spent a little bit of money on the training ground at the moment. We're stalling on the ground of ourselves, whether we're looking for outside investment. It's almost like PIF have walked away. You know, or
is that the general feeling up north, mate? That they've lost interest in it?
Yeah, honestly. Yep, we really do. I mean, look, they walked away from Liv, and that's by far bigger project than Newcastle United, little old Newcastle United. I've just heard a few whispers with maybe Indian investors coming in, but, you know, we'll see.
You're starting to miss Mike Ashley, are you?
Jesus, I was one of 5.
Look at you staring the pot.
Scared by the club. This guy, the Irish guy, your owner of Peterborough, yeah?
Yes.
Is it Peterborough? Yeah. I've never heard a man talk so much sense. been on my born days.
Thank you, my man.
Yesterday.
Thank you.
Seriously, honestly.
Appreciate you.
And you're like me, you apologise to nobody.
Not a chance. Not a chance. But listen.
All right, this ain't a Darragh McAnthony loving. What you doing?
Listen, that's my long-lost brother from Newcastle, right? My dad was a busy guy 20, 30 years ago. Listen, let me say this about the Toon Army. The one thing I know, being in football 20 years, and I've been up to your place many times, you know, they'll survive this. They'll get over this. And if the new guy comes in, they'll get behind him, and that's all I can say about their fan base. There might be some moans and shrieks at the moment, but they'll get over it very quickly, and there'll still be 60-odd thousand or 55,000 on match day when the Premier League starts, and that's what it's all about, being a fan.
Dan, welcome to the show, mate.
Hi lads, okay?
Yes, good mate. Go on, Dan. What do you want to talk about, pal?
Yeah, season ticket holder, Strawberry Corner. Love it every single match, and I still will. But King Edward I, long live the King. Gave us the best day that every fan, I'm sure they'll ever remember as a black and white supporter. But he should have gone after Fulham at the last game of the season. And I think the leadership have just let this one get out of control a little bit. They should have took ownership of that after Fulham at the last game of the season.
What was it after that game, mate? What was it at the end of the last season that you saw that you wanted him to move on?
Well, it was before Fulham, lads. So it was unfortunately it was after them lot beat us for the second time at St James's.
Yeah.
Now at full time, for the first time in his regime, a section of the fans turned on him, and I was shell shocked. Just stood there listening, and I just left the ground just with my mouth shut and obviously devastated. But since that match, and I could be wrong, some of the fans might come on and disagree with me, but there was a turn of feeling and chemistry inside the ground.
Okay.
But for the ownership and the chief exec to sit there and say by 2030 we want to win the league, they haven't been ruthless enough at the end of the season to make that change.
It's a fair comment.
Did they say that before or after that Sunderland game? Because that was around February, March when they said that, wasn't it?
It was just before. So we got our heads handed to us in Barcelona on the Wednesday night, and then it was the Sunderland game. 60 minutes, we played well, and then we just... It happened too many times last season. 28 points that we let just flutter away into the season. If we got even half of those 28 points, lads, we finished in the top 5.
I mean,
13 extra points.
Can we go back a year? Can we go back to last summer? Do you think you would have finished, what was it, 11th, 12th, the season just gone? With the recruitment that happened last summer and losing Isak, we've got to give Eddie some form of defence here.
Yep.
Even though managers can go stale and everything else, I'm just looking at the signings they made last summer, how they spent the money, the big tall fella they brought in, do you know what I mean, who everyone thought was a striker, and then he's getting played as a 10. Obviously, Wisa from Brentford. You look at all of that and go, if Isak was in that squad last year, and they'd done a little bit better recruitment-wise, would you be on the radio right now asking for Eddie Howe to resign at the end of the season? Because I just don't think that happens. Sliding doors and all that.
I think it's a fair point, Darragh, and I believe that last summer it all started with Isak, and we got gazumped on 5 deals. João Pedro, Šeško, there was a variety of players that we go down the list of there, and I just think, and then Isak, the way he left again, go back to the leadership on the last day of the window. Why didn't he press the ejector seat button at the end of July? Dare said early August. We let it go all the way to the last day. Yeah. And I think that really did fracture the season.
Because the financial logic,
around Alexander Isak.
The financial logic is you got 120 million for Isak, and you probably got 15 million more at the end of the window than you would have gotten, say, June and July.
Yeah.
But if you think of the placings in the Premier League, 11th to 7th, the 15 million in prize money you'd have made up.
Yeah.
So as an owner, you would have gone, Isak's going, he wants to go, we're going to help that along, get the money in, do the business early.
Yeah, but you've been in football 20 years, mate. You know what to do.
These guys are billionaires. I think they know, more than I do.
Stuart, welcome to the show, mate. You know a little bit about the new man coming in, don't you?
Yeah, how's it going? Cheers for having us on. Much appreciated.
No, welcome, mate. Go on.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, it was just to say, basically, obviously, Eddie Howe, great manager, great servant for Newcastle, and that's sad, obviously, for the Geordie guys there. But, however, I just want to phone up and basically just raise a point. I was fortunate enough, obviously, over the last couple of years to be involved in Saudi football out there, and I've worked sort of closely with obviously, the link there, Matthias Jesel. And I just want to give a good positive reference for the guy because, again, obviously in the Premier League, a lot of people are going to say, who's this guy? And I'm going to put a little sort of point out there. I'm going to say he's got a bigger trophy cabinet in Newcastle as a club, and also Eddie Howe Basically, he's won 2 back-to-back Asian Champions Leagues in the last 2 seasons, which is similar basically to the Champions League in Europe. A lot of, again, people here obviously being a little bit snobby, they'll say that's not a great achievement, but it is, because on the other side of the water, again, there's a massive, sort of half of the world is obviously competing in pro football. It's not just outside the Premier League, obviously, that life doesn't exist. So, yeah, he's got that. He's done well in Saudi. He's a big game manager. I know that. He's young, he's ambitious, and as I said, he's also managed big players from the Premier League. Bobby Firmino, Riyad Mahrez, and in my opinion as well, Riyad, I got to know him well as well. He could still easily come back to the Premier League. I wouldn't put it past him also maybe possibly coming in and playing a part at Newcastle. So yeah, there's opportunities like that. He's also got Mendy, the goalkeeper, who was at Chelsea. So yeah, I think the guys, he's ambitious. He's got a good backroom staff if he was to keep the same guys.
Sounds like his agent.
As I said, I think it's.
Are you on 10%?
Are you his agent? Serious question.
I'm not his agent, but I just obviously I'm a Scottish football fan. I'm also been out in Saudi, and I'm just sick to death of hearing about the Premier League and all these big clubs and. So, I'm not saying you guys personally, but just the media there, they're just saying basically there's not life outside the Premier League. There certainly is.
No, there is, but you can appreciate that the level, obviously, of the Premier League compared to the Saudi League is that there is a disparity there right now.
Of course, but it's getting littered with guys who have got Premier League experience. Don't get it wrong, like Cristiano Ronaldo now, he's 40-year-old or 41.
Well, you just mentioned Riyad, haven't you? Riyad Mahrez, and even Bobby Firmino's still got something there, mate. So that
of course, but it's just obviously it was just to give a bit of reassurance, because again, the media, they're going to batter this guy, saying who's this untried guy. You've got to remember the guy, he's won 2 Champions Leagues in a row. He's also been Salzburg manager, and as I said, he's ambitious. He's got a great pedigree. So I just thought I would just put something a little bit dynamic to your.
I appreciate it. Understood. Bit of context on that. You know, if you have owners who can spend £1 million a week on Ivan Toney's wages or other players like that, that's great. You're not allowed to do that in the Premier League. So let's see how he can get on in the Premier League with a younger type of player. Because every player he just mentioned was an older profile. Mahrez, Firmino, they're over the age of 30. Ivan Toney was 29. Newcastle are going down that younger route. Now, I know he's got the Salzburg connection and Red Bull and all of that. That's great. But with all due respect, the Asian trophy compared to Newcastle's trophy cabinet, I'm not having that.
No. And one thing to highlight as well, this is a relatively young guy coming out of Germany. This is a trend. Young
German's the new sexy thing.
Finished their careers early and then gone into management in the 30s and 40s.
We've got 4 German managers now in the Premier League.
I think so, yeah.
You got a Brighton manager.
Yeah.
You've got obviously the Forest manager. You got this fella. You've obviously the England manager's German. Is there anyone else? Is that 3?
No.
So 15% of the Premier League now is managed by Germans.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. It's obviously the new thing.
Have we got Steve? Can we get Steve on? Steve, how are you, mate? You good?
Hello.
Hey, Steve.
Hello, can you hear me?
We've got you, Steve. Go on, pal. What do you want to say?
Yeah. Well, personally, I'm actually looking forward to a new chapter, to be honest with you. I personally believe the 2030 thing is still on. I think because if you look at 5 years ago where we were, who we had, how much our average player price was worth to be sold 5 years ago, it is an absolute universe away to where we are now. Yes, we've sold some of our good players, and you know, we're talking £250 million. We weren't saying that 5 years ago. We won a bit of trophy. We got a little bit of silverware in the cabinet, so to speak, and you know, we've tried different things. So Eddie, yes, his name will always be etched in our hearts, always. But I think it is time to move on. I think we need a refresh, and you know, just to see what this new guy, if it's transparent that he is coming, to see what he's going to be like.
But in order for 2030 to still be on, you've got to reinvest that money, haven't you, back into the playing staff? Are you confident that that's going to be the case?
Yeah, I do. I mean, the PSR or the SCR, what it's known as now, there's no doubt about it. It does throw a lot of spanners in the works. But I think the younger side of things, getting the younger kids to you know, bring them in, get them Premiership ready, and then use them as you know, as tools to trade, because I'm not clever enough to figure out the new SCR rules, if I'm honest with you, but I'm thinking to myself, well, they're young, they don't necessarily demand that much of a high wage structure. Does that offset against this to the potential that you can bring into the club?
So what I'm hearing,
I don't know.
What I'm hearing is a lot of optimism. I love the optimism. I think it's a little bit. Some of it's a little bit not disrespectful to Eddie, considering all the circumstances. But look, the owners are going to have to sing for their supper, and they're going to have to do that with some good business this summer, and they're going to have to back this new guy. So, how many more players need to be signed before the end of the window, Newcastle fans, for you to be a top 6 competitive team this year? That's based on your Gamiras going to Arsenal.
Yeah, well, the plan for 2030 is to win the league. That's what they're saying.
Forget that for a second. Talk about this season.
Yeah, but my man just then said that it's still on. The 2030 plan
I
is
want to drink what he's drinking. So what I'm saying to you is, Newcastle fans, ring in. Tell me what you need before the end of this window, and that's based on Gimirais going, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
So what needs to be done for you to be a top 6 team? Because that's some serious expenditure in this window, I'd imagine. Still need to happen.
03717 22 3344. Answer that question that Darragh's thrown your way, Newcastle fans. Get involved with the programme. Don't go anywhere.
chaps. How are you?
We're good, man. How you doing today? You all right? You well?
I'm all right. I'm like, Goldstein, are you on a wind-up with this Kane to Chelsea thing?
Well, no. I asked I never said it. I asked the question.
Yeah, you done it on purpose, so I'd ring up, didn't you?
Sol Campbell went to Arsenal, didn't he?
No, I knew you was going to come
Tevez
up
went
with
to Man
that.
City. It happens. Definitely happens.
Listen. Kane is proper Tottenham. Don't you know that? Don't you know that?
I know he's proper Tottenham. I know that. I don't think he would do that.
Of course he wouldn't. So why are you talking about it and winding me up
Jeff,
for?
Jeff, let me ask you this.
All night.
Jeff.
I've been working all night on a night shift, right? I'm going home, right? I was all chilled out and relaxed, looking forward to going home.
Now you're all bitter and twisted.
Sorry, Jeff. Sorry.
And now you're winding me up with this. I'll tell you what, if Kane goes to Chelsea, I'll do anything you say. Anything you want.
Well, that sounds weird.
Anything.
I mean, I would...
No.
Talk Sport News.
Good morning, I'm Cara Bentley. There were about 2,877 excess deaths because of the hot weather in May and June this year, double last year. Meanwhile, a drought's been declared for many countries. Amy Fairman from River Action told us that there's not the infrastructure to be sustainable.
Earlier this year we had floods and heavy rainfall, and now we're experiencing drought, and it shows us that we can't maintain, we can't capture the water when we're in abundance and use it when we're in shortage.
Meanwhile, in Suffolk, about 200 caravans were evacuated overnight at a holiday park because of a forest fire. The number of years that people say they have a healthy state of life for varies by at least 10 years, depending where you live. Figures covering lower population areas show that people in Porth in South Wales report an average 57.7 years of good health, while those a few miles south in Cowbridge have 72. Those around Newcastle and Hull report a healthy life figure of low 50s as well. And the BBC has axed a third gladiator this week, Cyclone. She's unfollowed the production company on social media and deleted all the pictures of her as a gladiator.
Talk Sport Sports Headlines with Bostik. For workable, easy-to-apply mortar that tools easily, pros trust Bostik.
Eddie Howe has left Newcastle, and UEFA is holding a crisis meeting this afternoon on Gianni Infantino's FIFA plans. Hugo has more at 11.
Before we do something very unusual on this show and make an apology, we are going to just cross over to the Commonwealth Games for John Cushing to give us a little update of what's going on today. John, over to you, mate.
Yeah, good morning. Day 7 of the Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games, and the track cycling gets underway this morning. Of course, 7 gold medals are up for grabs in the likes of the sprint, the individual pursuit, both in the teams. You're going to see England, Scotland, Wales, Australia all in action. The big news yesterday, of course, is that England's former Australian world champion and Olympic champion Matt Richardson is not fit enough to compete for Team England after an incredible crash at the weekend in the Keirin in Japan, so he misses it, but there's still some big names from a cycling point of view. Emma Finucane, the world champion, Olympic champion for Wales, will certainly be a highlight. Also this afternoon, the double Olympic medalist Emily Campbell in weightlifting action. She's the Commonwealth Games champion from Birmingham. Can she lift it again, that gold medal? And what colour will her hair be? She always has a certain kind of hair for an Olympics or a Commonwealth Games, so I'll be there this afternoon to see how that's going on. While over at the Scotstoun Stadium this morning, we've got athletics getting underway, the men's decathlon, and after Josh Kerr progressed to the final of the mile yesterday, it's the women's mile this morning. We've got the likes of Jess Hull of Australia, who is looking to make it another successful event for Australia on the track. She goes in round 1 of the mile just after midday. This is the Commonwealth Games. It's live across the talkSPORT network.
Top man, John, thank you very much. Now, a little earlier on, we were talking about the amount of German managers in the league.
Got it wrong.
With Matthias Jasler coming in as the new manager of Newcastle United, and we've been inundated with text and emails from the Leeds contingent.
I did. I had a few of the Leeds brethren on my Twitter saying, yes, obviously the famous Daniel Farke.
Sorry.
And also Oliver Glasner is Austrian, not German.
So people told you that, well, we left that one out.
Did we leave that one out?
We left out.
I'm pretty sure we did, yeah. Yeah, did we? I can't
we did leave Farke out, though, so apologies
First coffee
for
of the
that.
day. Anyway.
Listen, by the time we get to midday, we'll be rocking on this programme, all right? But thank you very much for the reminder. Before we get back to the actual calls regarding texts, Alston, who's a Newcastle fan, reacting to the news that Eddie Howe is no longer the Newcastle manager. That's my season ticket ripped up. No how, no hope. Gone. You've also got other people with a little bit more of a balanced view. This is from Sam. Morning, guys. I think Eddie Howe has looked at the players outgoing, probably not getting any players he wants, so decided to walk. I can see Newcastle struggling to stay up this year, letting so many players go. You disagree with that, don't you?
Yeah, nonsense. Yeah, I think Newcastle will be comfortably stay up. So you're concerned for them a little bit because of the change, but it'll catch itself up, and they will spend money and do business.
Jamie, welcome to the show. How are you? Are you there, Jamie?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Got you, mate. There we go, pal. All yours. What do you want to say?
Right. First of all, my main point being is if we were having an inkling that Eddie Howe wasn't happy, we should have got rid of him at the end of last season. I love Eddie Howe. I've been a massive Eddie Howe supporter over the past season. I think massively it wasn't all his fault where we went wrong this season. I think the Isak situation put us down a bad path, and I think it sort of it was a downward spiral from there. After we got knocked out of the Champions League from Barca, I think it was just a downward spiral. But the one thing I've got hope for is a bit of refreshment. I think over the last season, I think a lot of the fans, especially, have been feeling a bit of repetitiveness with these decisions, the type of games we play where we're going up 1-0 and it's sitting at the back for the rest of the match. The only hope is this new manager has a bit of bottle about him and comes in and says, these are the players I want, this is what we need to do, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be doing that because I think he works for the Saudi paymasters, doesn't he, out in Saudi? So, you know, he'll
be used to the way they work.
He'll be used to the way they work, and he'll have to get on with what's recruited, I'd imagine. But look, he's obviously got experience working under that model at Red Bull, where they do the recruitment and the coaches get on with coaching, you know, the head coaches. So he'll know how all that works. He definitely sounds like somebody I'd be excited about. I didn't know a lot about him before coming in this morning. But he seems interesting. The previous guy that was on as agent gave him a great reference. So I'll have to reach out to some of the ex-players. I think it was Ivan who plays out there for them. I'm not sure if it's the same team Ivan Toney plays for. Did you say earlier about him you'd recommend?
Well, that could be interesting. What if they bring Ivan Toney back? Well,
no, he's got 3 years. Because you don't be paying taxes on that money.
Okay, 18 months. In 18 months' time, you might consider it.
Yeah,
there you go. Steve, welcome to the show, mate.
Hello, is that me? Yeah.
It is you, Steve. Go on, pal.
Right, brilliant. I know who I am, really. What I wanted to say is, right, I think there's like more serious problems at our club And I'd be interested to get your opinion on this. Like last year, obviously, we sold Isak 125 mil. We didn't want to do it. We weren't going to do it. But had we not done that sale, what impact would have our finances been in now? Like we've just been sanctioned and that sanction obviously would have been a hell of a lot worse had that not happened. This year, obviously, Tonali's gone 91 million, Gordon 68, right? And we're barely breaking even. Like I've got real question marks about like the senior leaders that we've got in charge and where we're going to end up at this rate. I just wondered what your opinion was on that, really.
I guess they'd argue that they've been here, 5 years, and they've had 2 Champions League campaigns. They've won the first trophy, for a long time. I wouldn't be worried about I wouldn't be worried about the finances as regards they're going to pay their bills. The PSR stuff, the fines, all of that. It seems to be a modern thing now. Chelsea, every other club pays the odd fine, and I definitely think they'll spend money. And trying to crack open the egg that is known as PSR or whatever it's called nowadays, you keep getting fed different stories all the time. I do know this. I think if those owners wanted to spend, they would, or not wanted to spend. If they could spend, they would spend. And I do think they have those restrictions. But I do think clearing the decks with some of the players that came in and maybe the bigger wages to get them there in the first place allows them to go down that young and hungry route. The salaries are a lot less. You can get more of those players. That was kind of the Chelsea model, which paid off already for Chelsea, where they've won some cup and had some success. So that'd be the last of my concern. I wouldn't be overly concerned about who's running the club. I'd get more concerned about, is the new manager going to hit the road running, or is it going to be a slow burn start and you guys start getting impatient and then the pressure starts? Because that's where seasons get toxic and go quick.
Well, I think once Bruno goes, that's going to happen, isn't it? I mean, it looks like he's on his way. I imagine that's why Eddie Howe's went, I've had enough here. Now, and our win ratio without him, it's relegation for him. That like
you're talking Bruno now, aren't you? Like when he's not in the team last year, it was alarming.
It is. I mean, it's quite frightening, to be honest with you. So if that happens, which I imagine it is, that must have prompted this. I don't think Eddie would have just quit had he not known that his midfield was going to be decimated. So yeah, I might go on talkSPORT bets and stick some money on a relegation at this rate.
You can't do that against your own team, mate. What are you doing?
No chance. They need a blockbuster signing.
Yeah, Steve, cheers, mate.
That's what they need. They need to go out and do sign a Wharton from Crystal Palace. They need a blockbuster signing. They need to go out and spend 75, 80, 90 million on a blockbuster. One signing. I know they're getting all these
How
young
hard
players.
is that to do, though? Because as one of our callers a little earlier on was talking about, last year they were in the market. I know the Isak thing went on for a long period of time, but they were in the market for certain lads like Sesko and various things like that. Yep. And then they got gazumped by teams that are maybe more attractive, not necessarily size-wise, but definitely geographical. It's tough to get people up to the northeast.
It is, which is almost sounds disrespectful to the people living in the northeast.
Absolutely. But if you're from outside of the UK and you don't understand it...
I agree with you. We find it difficult sometimes taking people from the north down to Peterborough. We've been at like clubs up that way and whatever else, family, geography, all of that counts nowadays. But when you're then competing in the same talent pool with Liverpool and with Chelsea and those clubs, you're in trouble because they've been doing this a lot longer and they're a lot slicker. Yeah. Hence why they do deals quicker. And that's why you've seen Newcastle get gazumped on a few deals. But you got to keep trying. And you know they've got some good people working there and some new people working there. And they've got
an amazing football club.
Correct. And they've got a great fan base. They've got to crack the code. And they might have to pay a wage tax to some of those players that, hey, we're going to give you 10% more than Liverpool are going to give you or than Chelsea are going to give you.
Just to get this thing moving.
Yeah, and they might have to put things in like release clauses just to get in a couple of those players so players don't feel like they're going to get like trapped. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're going to almost have to bend over a little bit at the start for the greater good.
So kind of treat it a little bit like what they've just done with Anthony Gordon. So therefore, if a Barcelona or a Real Madrid come along, mate, you're free to rock and roll.
100%. And I would imagine Eddie knew this was going to go this way in the summer, hence why he probably gave his blessing to Anthony Gordon going to a club that size. So there is going to be that Newcastle tax going around. They're going to have to be really work smarter rather than harder over the transfer window.
Toby, welcome to the show, mate.
Oi, oi.
All right, Toby.
He's buzzing. You been out last night, Tobes?
No, mate.
Well, yeah, Sam, mate, you know that you've rang a radio station, obviously, to contribute to the programme, yeah?
Aye.
Okay, right, go for it. It's all yours.
I thought it was Catterall give me the cash. No, man. So, mate, why has he chosen now to leave the club, man? He's 30 days away from the season start. He's had all all last season, all the stick he got, and he's chosen now to leave.
I think he told him he was leaving weeks ago.
Yeah.
They asked him to stay on until they got someone. I think that's what we're being told.
Oh, is that the crack, like, is it?
Yeah. Allegedly.
No, you know what it is? I think everyone lost love of him. He's got no plan B whatsoever. He got found out last season. As soon as Isaac left, there was nothing left of the club. He's panicked brought whoever he wants in, and it hasn't worked whatsoever. I think every Newcastle fan's in the same boat.
Are you solely putting that down to him, though?
It's harsh.
But no.
What do you mean? Yes, but no.
I am, but I'm not, because.
Well, which one is it? Is it yes or is it no?
Well, who's in charge of the club?
You tell me. It's your football club. Who is in charge of your football club?
Eddie Howe.
Well, no. He's in charge of the grass, isn't he? He coaches the lads and picks the team and all that type of stuff. He does that bit on a Saturday afternoon. But there's other people, obviously, that run the football club and bring in those players for him. Have a wonderful weekend, buddy. Right. Jeez. Keep them coming. 03717 22 33 You're listening to talkSPORT.
Thomas Tuchel, what he said, he's a key player for us, whether as a starter or as a substitute. The word substitute will even be uttered about Virgil van Dijk. Imagine someone saying that to Virgil van Dijk, even at 40.
No, I think
be a
No.
substitute.
You're massively cherry picking.
I'm not saying. No. Sorry, they just played the clip. No. They just played the package, and it was Thomas Tuchel, the England manager, saying he's a key player for us, whether as a starter or a substitute.
This is appalling from you. This is the very definition. You know when Donald Trump's moaning about fake news? It's you.
Sorry, I just basically quoted
but how
what
important,
the England manager said.
Okay. How important is context? The reason that he spoke like that is because he was accused of taking an injured player to a tournament. So the reason that he said he's going to be a key player for us, whether he's a substitute or whether he's a starter, is because it was suggested that you shouldn't take a player who has had an injury-ravaged season.
Oh, no,
so therefore,
injury-ravaged career.
Injury-ravaged career, fine.
Injury-ravaged
But the reason that he was talking about being a substitute...
I feel bad here because...
Good morning, you're listening to talkSPORT. It's mid-mornings. It's normally White and Jordan. They're on holiday. It's me, Adam Catterall, and Darragh McAnthony with you through till 1 o'clock. We are going to turn our attention very shortly to the world of cricket, because the England and Wales Cricket Board have confirmed the appointment of Stephen Fleming as the England men's Test head coach. Interesting one, with Joe Root named as captain. We'll discuss this a little bit more with Steve Harmison. That's going to come up after 11 o'clock. Right now, though, with the news about Newcastle's incoming manager being Matthias Jesler, we are kindly joined by the Athletic's German football correspondent, Seb Stafford-Blood. He's on the phone right now. Seb, how are you, mate? You good?
I'm doing good. Morning, Adam.
Good morning, my man. Right. Obviously, the big news from a Newcastle fan point of view is that Eddie Howe, who's done incredibly well for him over the last 5 years, is on his way out. There has been an appointment relatively quickly with Matthias Jesler coming in. A lot of people don't know too much about him. You are the main man for this, my friend, being the main thing on all German football. So talk to me about him. What is he going to be bringing to the Northeast?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. So as my colleague David Ornstein reports, that's the likely destination of travel for Matthias Jesel. It's not quite done yet, not quite appointed, but we think it's going to happen. So I think the kind of the TLDR version of this for Newcastle fans is this is exciting. Matthias Jesel is his roots are in the Red Bull system, so he plays in the way you'd expect, very direct, very forward-thinking, very aggressive without the ball. He's a very passionate character, very active on the touchline. I mean, he's won back-to-back Asian Champions Leagues, those are the first continental trophies in Al Ahly's history in the Saudi Pro League. So he's done a terrific job, and he's still only 38 as well. This is a guy who's still developing, but he's a fascinating character.
When you talk about character, talk to me about his personality, because Eddie Howe obviously had a wonderful relationship with the guys up in the Northeast. Does he have the personality to be able to manage the Toon Army?
Yeah, I think he's very single-minded. Ultimately, the answer to that question is we'll see when he does it, because I think that's probably the fairest way to look at it. But he's made some bold moves in his career so far. Not to kind of laboriously go through his CV, but back in 2023, he was head coach of RB Salzburg. He'd moved into that position very quickly. He was just 33 when he became their head coach. And then in July 2023, he was kind of announced that he'd been relieved of his position so that he could pursue a career, pursue an opportunity with Al Ahly in Saudi Pro League. There's a big left turn to take at that time, particularly as, if you're a coach of that age, without a massive reputation at that point, how much cachet are your achievements going to have in Saudi Arabia if you ever want to come back? So it was a bold move, and decided to make it. He said, I interviewed him 4 or 5 months ago. He said, yeah, it was financially motivated. He was very, very honest about that. But he welcomed the challenge. And listen, I think one of the unspoken parts of this is, yes, it's not a league which is of the same level as the Premier League, but he's managed some big personalities out there. Roberto Firmino, Ivan Toney, Edouard Mendy, the former Chelsea goalkeeper, Frank Kessié, Riyad Mahrez, the former Manchester City winger. He's managed some stars. And people in Saudi Arabia say that before he got there, it was quite a disparate group. It was still sort of early into the project. He really harnessed them. And that's a difficult thing to do, because you have these stars, and then you have these local players. You have a really awkward blend between almost kind of, in financial terms, haves and have-nots, and something that's true in reputational terms. So it's quite a task, and it's testament to a certain type of personality which should be able to stand up to the scrutiny and the expectation that exists up in Newcastle.
Is he more Tuchel or Klopp, if you were to compare him to one of those characters? Give us an idea, an insight into his personality.
Great question, Darragh. Great question. I wasn't prepared for that one. I would pitch him. I'm going to sit on the fence and say he's somewhere between the two, because I think personality-wise, a bit more Klopp. I mean, he's not quite the same communicator, although he has the kind of he clearly places great emphasis on communication and gets on very well with younger players. When he was at Salzburg, because he was so young, he had a kind of rapport with some of the younger guys there. So Benjamin Sesko was one of them, for instance, now at Manchester United, of course. What I would say, though, he's his own man. And certainly whenever you talk about someone that's come out of Red Bull, people imagine, right, identikit, cookie cutter coach. They all believe in the same things. And yeah, some of the tenets are there, like high pressing. He wants the ball moving quickly through midfield, all those things. When I spoke to him, he said one of the things that matters to him is he doesn't want his players playing like robots. Particularly when it comes to the attacking phases, he wants decision makers, he wants problem solvers, he wants creative types unlocking doors, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't be that comfortable comparing him to either. So how's that for a bit of fence?
Right down the middle.
Bit of everything. Seb, thanks for the insight, mate.
Thanks,
I appreciate you. Thank you very much for joining us this morning to give us a little bit of a take on the new Newcastle manager, with Eddie Howe obviously stepping out. Sean will probably have an opinion on this, being a Newcastle fan. Sean, welcome, mate. How are you?
I'm all right, gents. How are you? Thanks for having us on.
No, you're welcome, mate. Go for it. All yours.
First of all, I want to say thank you very much to Eddie Howe. He's given us 5 of the best years we've ever had as Newcastle manager. We cannot forget that. But it seems like the current board of directors have forgot that. I don't know about you. I mean, Darragh is an owner of a football club. They're extremely secretive. They're liars. And you cannot believe a word they say. They've got no credibility in the game. David Hopkinson came out and gave that absolute horrendous view that we're going to challenge for titles by 2030. And within a few months, he decided to get rid of all the best players and get young'uns in. How does that work?
Well, first of all, what have they lied about?
He's lied about the Knox deal. He came out and said it's a record-breaking deal, right? If you compare apples to apples, the Knox shirt sponsor is less income than the Seller one. He's tagging on the training ground there and trying to fool fans into thinking that's a record-breaking deal. It's not. It's a lie.
Well, it's framing. It's framing, isn't it? It's the way he's framed it.
Manipulating the truth.
Yeah, okay.
No, it's not. It's trying to pull the wool over our eyes. We're not there. Compare apples to apples.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Fair enough.
That's fair comment. Look, you got to.
So it's a lie.
Yep.
There's one lie. They came out time and time again and told us about their stadium, and then it's radio silence because they haven't got the ability to get deals over the line, let alone build a new stadium. I don't think David Hopkinson has the ability to run a football club in England. He's an American. He's Mr. Businessman. He wants to get in all these revenue deals and whatnot. That isn't our club, right? The deals he's getting in are less than what we had. Okay, so what he's doing, he's trying to fire sale the club to give himself a bit of money to start fresh. That's clearly what he's doing. And in doing that, he's driven out the one man that's given us stability over the last 5 years.
Oof. That's a serious David Hopkinson fan right there.
Yeah.
I guess my answer to that would be, a couple of years ago, I quite liked the transparency at Newcastle with the owner. They had the documentary. Obviously, I think Amanda was there at the time as well. The Reuben brothers, I'm not sure if they're still involved. And I think the fans felt quite close to ownership. And you're probably right. The last 18 months hasn't been that way. A lot of stuff's gone on with Saudi pulling out of other businesses, and that's probably created that, along with that, a little bit of like maybe uneasiness.
Mm-hmm.
So in Hopkinson's defence, because you have to sometimes defend people who work for other people, they're basically doing as they're told, so to speak. You know, he can only do what he can do because of what he's given to spend, the financial picture. What you'd like to see is the Newcastle ownership, the person who represents them, come out and speak a little bit more right about now, because now's the time to do it. Now's the time to go out and go, look, we let Eddie down last year. It was a bad window. We had a terrible recruitment thing. It went a bit stale. Best thing for him was to move on, let him have a break. Brilliant manager, world class, probably going to be England manager. Now we're going to go with a new manager. We're excited about that. We're going to give him the tools. We're going to spend some money in this window. Probably going to take 3 windows to get us where we need to be, but we're going to have a right go. Bang. That's it. That's what they got to do.
Robert, what do you think, mate?
Hi, lads. You okay?
Good, mate. What are you thinking about all this morning, pal?
To be totally honest, I think we need to be a little bit pragmatic and take a couple of steps back. Everyone's jumping in. Just take a deep breath. A parting of the ways was probably the best for everyone. The timing's not ideal, but when is the timing ever good in football? Never. I think he didn't do himself any favours halfway through last season with constantly playing the same system. He wouldn't change tactics. I think quite a few of the fans got frustrated. I'm quite excited about the change, don't get us wrong. I'm gutted that he's left. I think he's done a great job. I don't really see a problem with he's been there 5 years. It's very rare managers stay at clubs now unless you're a Klopp, Ferguson, Guardiola for 5 years. I don't see a problem with fresh ideas coming in. I think the players probably need that. And I really, really, going back to call up just a couple before I was listening to him, if Bruno goes, he's going to put money on to get relegated. We've lost a lot better players than Bruno over the last 20, 30 years.
Great comment.
Football clubs still go on.
Great comment.
Bruno's not the be-all and end-all. That's my personal opinion. I was on the other day, I spoke to Carlton, and I said I would all be for selling Bruno. Simply, I just think the money for a 29-year-old on a 2-year contract that he's got left, I'm sorry, but that just money has to talk. 70 to 75 million pound for a 29-year-old. He's got to go. And I just think we need to be a little bit, just take a deep breath. I agree with the transfer strategy that they're doing. What a lot of people haven't picked up on as well, up until last summer, Newcastle got their transfer business spot on. Yes, they missed out on players. A load of teams miss out on players. Every team doesn't get the number one target. Up until last summer, Newcastle got the transfer bang on. Andy Howe, which is Eddie Howe's nephew, was appointed our recruitment part of our recruitment team last summer. I think he had a major say in our recruitment last summer. I didn't agree with it at the time because I did think if Eddie Howe leaves, it then puts the nephew in an awkward position. Steve Nixon is currently leaving at the end of this summer transfer window, and he's been absolutely fantastic for us since he's been at the club. And I think his nose got put out of place last year when Howe's brought his nephew in, and he's maybe said, listen, I'm away at the end of this season. Every player that Nixon's recommended since the Saudi takeover, he's got bang on. We'll double our money on every player we've signed up until last summer, Darren. I mean, that's... what do you think about that, Darren?
You said this a little earlier on in the week, didn't you?
Yeah.
You got it up bang on up until 12 months ago.
100%. And I thought last summer's recruitment was a disaster. I didn't know about, Eddie's nephew or whoever it was that came in. So that's a really interesting... Look, it'd be a lot to blame it on one recruitment person. Steve Nixon's very highly thought of, and Wrexham have got a real coup there, getting him in there. Sean Harvey's pulled a miracle, getting him to sign into Wrexham. So it's good for Wrexham fans. But I'm with you. Look, people talking about ripping season tickets up and, burning things in the street and we're getting relegated. Kamate, just calm down a little bit. Let things settle. You are right, bang on. He was bang on about the 4 or 5 years. I think nowadays in modern managers, it's 3 to 5 years and they go stale. I've seen it myself. My previous manager, who I loved to bits, loved him so much I brought him back like 4 times. But every time he came back, he was fresh. He was great.
Yeah.
By year 4 or 5, it's tough. You're rebuilding teams because there's always a cycle. And I think a lot of managers probably now, the average lifespan of a manager in the EFL is 11 months, I think. So in the Premier League, I don't know what it is statistically, but I honestly think 3-4 years full tilt, full on is probably the best you're going to get. Klopp, Guardiola, the exception, Sir Alex Ferguson, maybe Mikel Arteta will be the exception as well. But going forward, it's probably going to be 4 years is probably going to be the average for successful managers in the Premier League before they're just burnt out. So maybe it's a good thing.
Maybe it is. We're going to continue this conversation in a moment or two. 03717223344. We'll have a little bit of a break from the football, but we're going to keep it Newcastle theme, you see, because Army's coming on to talk a little bit about cricket. I've no doubt he's got a thought about his football club as well, but we'll get stuck into that next.
Bruno Guimaraes from my Newcastle to potentially Arsenal. Now, the thing that's given me hope is actually related to fishing, Charlie, because he's been fishing on his holidays.
Is he?
I'm not sure if he caught a £14 common carp, but he was wearing a Newcastle bucket hat, and that is something I'm massively clinging to at the moment, Crookie. But where do you see this deal right now?
Well, I think I'm right in saying he's due back at training on Friday, and at the moment there's no suggestion that he's going to follow the Alexander Isak playbook and down tools or refuse to train in order to force this move. It's no secret that he wants to join Arsenal and that Arsenal want to buy him. I think the bone of contention with Newcastle is there's not actually been too much direct contact between Arsenal and Newcastle. So a lot of this is playing out in the media. Eddie Howe is frustrated about that. The hierarchy are frustrated about that. I still think if Arsenal make a bid, and he's got an 8 at the start of it, £80 million, I think Guimaraes will be sold.
Is a cheap option for them. Marcus Rashford, do you think? Cricky, I've had a few people.
Talk Sport.
Good morning with your sports headlines. I'm Hugo Chambray. Eddie Howe has left Newcastle United after 5 years as head coach at the club. It's understood he had no plans to make an immediate return to management now. Here's our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook.
It looks like this is as much Eddie's decision as it is the club's. I know there's been frustrations in the transfer market with various potential deals falling through. Obviously, Anthony Gordon, Sandro Tonali, potentially Bruno Guimaraes leaving the club. And it looks like Eddie Howe has decided now is the right time for him to take a break.
Well, it's understood those transfer woes were a big factor in his departure. Newcastle already have German manager Matthias Geisler lined up as a replacement. Former Newcastle fullback Stuart Pearce doesn't think that quite adds up.
How can we turn round and say that, Eddie Howe's left his role and already there's a manager lined up and say it was a mutual agreement? You know what I mean? The two don't go hand in hand, really.
Well, there's more on that story at talksport.com. Meanwhile, UEFA will hold crisis talks this afternoon on Gianni Infantino's plans to sell shares in the World Cup. The FIFA president has been defending his proposals.
Strengthening the commercial side of the game is the natural next step in this evolution. So we believe that the FFE proposal would unlock the sport's potential in every corner of the world.
Elsewhere, Roberto De Zerbi says Spurs are only 60% done in this transfer window and that there will be one more bomber signing. He also wants to convince Jed Spence to stay at Spurs. Plus, it's been suggested Marcus Rashford could join Tottenham as well. And former New Zealand captain Stephen Fleming is the England Test cricket coach. He takes over from his former teammate Brendan McCullum, while Joe Stokes will replace Ben Stokes as the permanent captain. There's more on that at the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
Nearly 3,000 people have died from heat this May and June, and Shell has profited from record high oil prices following the conflict in Iran. There's more from Cara at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. The big summer sale is now on with great deals on a wide range of tyres. Visit quickfit.com and book today. Conditions apply.
Turning fresher from the north today, some sunshine and showers. Cloud and patchy rain will move southeastwards across England and Wales.
Good morning. You listen to talkSPORT. It is White and Jordan. They're off on holiday. I'm Adam Catterall, stepping in for Jim, stepping in for Mr. Jordan. Is the one and only Mr. Darragh McAnthony. We are action-packed right through to 1 o'clock, and you're more than welcome to come and join us. 03717 223344. We'll get back to the phone lines in a moment or two with the influx of Newcastle fans wanting to talk about Eddie Howe leaving and the new man, Matthias Jesler, coming in as their head coach for the new upcoming season. One man that will definitely have an opinion on that, as well as obviously what we're about to talk about in the world of cricket. He's Steve Armisen. Army, how are you, mate?
How are you, Adam? How are you, Darren? You all right?
Good, mate. Listen, this is action-packed for you, pal. We're going to fit it all in. We're going to do the cricket, we're going to do the football, we're going to do the whole hit. Is that all right with you?
It's fine. I was on a golf course 20 minutes ago and I rang and I'd have had to run off. I've not been in the shower. That's sweat trying to go off a golf course. So, yeah, not a problem.
Good man. Right. We'll talk cricket first and foremost because Stephen Fleming has been named England men's test coach. Joe Root was captain. I'll come to the Joe bit in a minute. Regarding Stephen Fleming, are you looking at this as a little bit odd that a lad that has been playing his trade in the white ball game is now taking care of the red ball test match side for England?
Well, Stephen Fleming's he's a good man. He's a good coach, good leader. He has been in the IPL where he's have to manage egos. He's worked alongside a really strong leader in MS Dhoni, who led Chennai Super Kings for so many years. There's the complicated bit about this job, and it's quite weird actually. I mean, Darren, have you ever heard of a leader have to come into a job and work alongside the bloke that's been sacked and possibly share a desk with him? Do you know what I mean? So from that point of view, you had to get somebody that worked with McCullum, because McCullum's not going anywhere until after the World Cup in October, and we've got a little matter of an Ashes in between. So that's why a Flower, that's why a Trott, that's why a Langer probably wasn't suited for the role, and that's why we've gone down the road of a Stephen Fleming.
That doesn't sit well with me, Harmy. You see, so you're saying to me basically the test side is taking second place to all the other forms of cricket out there. For me, I'm looking at it and going, I understand you have to get on with Baz or Brendan McCallum or whatever else, and they have to get the right candidate in. But surely if you're an English coach right now looking at this, and they've just gone back to back with New Zealand head coaches of the Red Bull team, what on earth is going on? Like what are we doing here?
Yeah, the complex thing about the cricket side of it, Darren, is you've got a white ball team and a red ball team. It'll be like in football, it'll be like having a Premier League team and a European team, and having the coach that's been sacked from the Premier League team coach the European team. And you say, well, you're going to give him on a Wednesday and then you've got to come back to me on a Saturday. This is how
cricket's evolved.
Cricket's evolving. So, and in the way, I think the way English cricket is scheduled, I think it's nearly impossible to do both red and white ball. I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's nearly impossible. So when you've got someone like Brendan McCullum, you've got a coach like Andy Flower, Justin Langer, Jonathan Trott, who's a little bit more detailed, probably a little bit more hands-on, will want to coach the players, where the players are going away to Brendan and they're having a very, very good time, and he's playing off the cuff, and it's let's go and enjoy ourselves, lads. When they come back to the test team, the test coach might feel as though I've got to rebuild these lads again before we start playing red ball cricket again. And that's why I mean it has to be a balance between working with the white ball team and making sure, because I would say 75% of the lads that are playing for England at this moment in time, fair enough, we might not have a one coach, but we've got 75% of the players that are playing both formats, and that's a challenge.
How's this going to get the Ashes back?
We've got talent. It's as simple as that, Darren. We have got talent. I mean, it's harder now. We haven't got our talisman all-rounder.
Of course.
And he's not coming. I don't think Ben Stokes is coming back, no matter what anybody says. He ain't coming back. I don't think he's coming back. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Joe Root, there's a lot of people talked about Joe Root's captaincy before and the numbers. But I was on the field, interviewing Joe at the end of the West Indies series when talkSPORT had it 4.5 years ago. And Joe Root came off that field with a bowling attack, of no disrespect to them, of Craig Overton, Saqib Mahmood and Matt Fisher. He hasn't got Jofra Archer. He hasn't got Bryden Carse. He's got a better team that he can captain. So we have got talented players. Yeah. We are at home. And I would like to think with Fleming and with Joe Root, we still have a really good chance of winning the Ashes in our own back garden.
How much has Fleming got to adapt? Because obviously he hasn't been in the Red Bull game for a long period of time, has he?
When Stephen Fleming, we look at New Zealand sport as a whole. We've just seen Ryan Fox, who apparently is one of the nicest human beings. A lot of the New Zealand lads are. I've been critical of Brendan McCullum. Brendan McCullum's one of the nicest guys you'll meet in cricket. That's what the New Zealand way is. Stephen Fleming was a very young captain of a New Zealand side, who punched above their weight for a lot of years. He then got into Chennai. He was a serial winner there. The game of cricket is simple. Somebody bowls it, somebody hits it, somebody fetches it. The stumps don't move, and the pitch will always be 22 yards long. If you keep it simple, you've got half a chance of being a successful group. And I think that's what Stephen Fleming will be as an England coach in the short term, and build and develop for in the long term.
So you got Baz Ball. Are we going to have flame ball, or what's this going to be? What are we going to be looking at here?
I like where you went flame and not phlegm.
I know global warming's changing this country. Not as cold as much, but phlegm ball could be a bit of a stretch. But no, I think he will be. I think Stephen Fleming, because he's come out of franchise cricket, and I think on a serious note, he will adapt. The franchise cricket coaches adapt very, very quickly to the players that they work with, because sometimes an auction comes and it's not the same team you get next year and the year after and the year after. So as a coach, you have to adapt very, very quickly with what you've got to work with. And I think that's what Stephen Fleming will have to do in the short term to try and get England into an identity that Stephen Fleming and Joe Root require to be the best version of the England cricket team going through South Africa, which is they are the best team, the world ranked best team in the world, because they won the World Test Championship over Christmas. Then they've got to go to Bangladesh, and then they've got to build for the Ashes.
I know you've kind of addressed the reason why Fleming's come into this particular position, but do you have any concerns about pathways for English coaches getting the top job?
I mean, yes and no. My ship sailed on that one. We brought in a competition 3 or 4 years ago called 100, and we had 8 overseas coaches. That was the end of our pathway. That was simple as that. that if we wanted to build a pathway, all I hear now in sport, and I'm sure Darren has this at Peterborough in League One and League Two, you hear about your pathway. How are you gonna get young players through your pathway?
Sure.
Well, we had a chance in the 100 to produce a pathway of English coaches when we brought this flagship tournament to go and sell it. We should have had 8 English coaches. If
Nailed
we
on.
did that, we would have had a massive pathway. That's why we've got 2 Kiwis in charge of our teams.
No, it's crazy. It's nailed on what you just said. At the end of the day, that would have been a great chance for yourself, Flintoff, all those iconic cricket players to give them a chance. But I always encourage our players to go into coaching afterwards.
Yeah.
The best coaches should be the players that come through. And I'm not anti-foreign people coming in to manage and coach, but it drives me mad. England's national team's got a German in charge. You've now got the cricket team have got another New Zealander in charge. And it's like, that's a reflection on the infrastructure of what you're doing. Rob Key is putting his cojones on the line here because let me tell you right now, I'd imagine this is his last chance. This goes wrong and goes wrong quickly. I'd imagine he's going to be out the door. Would you agree with that, Harmy?
Darren, Rob has, Rob's one of my best mates, and he probably has got one more decision in him that can't go wrong, unfortunately, because of where the sort of roadmap and the bumps in the road that England have gone over. But I've always looked at it that if you can't produce coaches in your own country, you've got a broken system.
Yep.
And whatever that system is, a long time ago, I was a very, very failed 4 seasons a non-league football manager, and I seen some of the stuff that players coming out of a non-league game being taught by some school teachers, some people who have never kicked a football. Some would say I never kicked a football properly.
Sure.
But you manage people, you understand the dressing room, you manage the game and the way it goes. And at the end of the day, if you can't bring your own through, you've got a broken system. And I think that broken system, largely stems from the top. And I think the FA possibly need to look at how they teach their coaches. And that would be the place I would first start, and why we have got a German in charge of our national team. And I actually think our level 3 and 4 that we have to go through, some of us ex-players look at it in cricketing terms to think, right, we need this to be a coach. It's like, no, we don't. We just need a little bit of common sense and deal with the individuals and work out of environment, build an identity, and then the talent, if you've got it, that's what wins your games.
Yeah.
From one managerial change to another, mate. Going on in the Northeast, what was your initial reactions to that news this morning?
Did you see how I was trying to drag this cricket?
Yeah, I saw what you did. I saw what you did. I was waiting for you to stop.
I know, I'm trying not to be honest. I'm devastated. I am. I'm devastated. I really am. Some of the noise at the back end of last season I thought was unfair. Eddie Howe can walk on water for me. I did the reporting job at Newcastle for 4 years, stood in front of him, and I've seen in the last three or 4 months that there was a guy getting a little bit tired, and I think there was a lot of external noise that didn't need to. There was a lot of stuff at Newcastle have happened over this time, which I think has not helped him. The having to sell Elliot Anderson was probably the start of it. As a club on the field, he produced. As a club off the field, I think they let him down. I really do think they let him down. And then the Alexander Isak stuff. And then last season, when the chief executive said we wanted to be the best team in the world or the best team in Europe by 2030, that for me threw the manager. That you might as well have left then, because that threw Eddie Howe under the bus then. And then all this now knock-on effect of players leaving. It doesn't surprise me that he's left. It looks like Bruno's going. It wouldn't surprise me if Hall goes or Livramento. And I fear for where my club's going, because the chief exec says we want to be the best team in Europe by 2030. If we're not careful, we might be the best team in the championship by 2030. That is a sad case of what potentially Eddie Howe leaving, because the one thing I said last year, the grass isn't always greener. Be careful what you wish for, because you've got no idea, I think, how good we had as a manager. And time's going to tell whether that's right or wrong.
Top man, Army. Listen, I'll let you get back to the golf course. Seeing that we've depressed you there, mate. You can go and have a knock now. All right, pal. See you in a bit.
Cheers, boys. Have a good afternoon.
No worries.
And you, mate. Listen, a little bit of breaking news. Chelsea have confirmed the signing of Maxence Lacroix from Crystal Palace, believed to be around 52 million quid. Good deal for both parties there?
Fantastic deal, but more importantly, for the fans ringing in, for the talent from talkSPORT that work here, the name is Darragh, not Darren.
I keep calling you Darragh.
He used to just call me Darren 15 times. All right, I heard it from a fan before. It's not that I have a complex about it. Just call me D. It's easier.
All right, Mr. Precious. Right, there you go. Make sure you call him by his proper name when you're
Great deal for Chelsea, by the way, and good deal for Palace, that signing.
03717 22 3344. It's Adam Catterall with Darragh.
Well done.
McAnthony.
I'm curious, Oliver, after that initial discussion where you said you were leaving the club and then you did remarkably well, you became the most successful manager Palace have ever had. Was there late on ever a discussion to try and keep you at the club?
No, I was very clear in my message, and I told the players before I announced it publicly. I told the players before, and I told them the same, because many had concerns. Can we end the season successfully? And I told them, if they now drop the standard, I would feel that I failed. Because this was always the message, don't do it for the manager, it just makes no sense. Do it for yourself, do it for the group, do it for the fans, do it for the club. And I think then winning the Conference League just showed that we created a different mindset, that we set different standards in the club, so that
Good morning. You're listening to Mid Mornings on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Darragh McAnthony is alongside me, and we're taking your calls on the breaking news that obviously Eddie Howe is no longer the Newcastle United manager. Matthias Jesler is in charge there. We're also taking calls as well on everything that's going on in the world of cricket. Joe Root is the new Test captain. Stephen Fleming's come in as the man that's going to oversee the new Test team. You can have your say on that. 03717 22 3344. While we catch our breath on all this breaking news, I would expect a nice chilled out morning today. Maybe knock a quiz out or something like that on a Thursday. No chance whatsoever. I think it's only fair that we get a little bit of an update from the Commonwealth Games with John Cushing. John, what's going on, mate? Has John disappeared? Where's John gone? I was looking forward to a breakdown on everything that's going on in the world.
Former Olympic champion in 2020.
Sorry, John. I don't know what's going on with the technology here, pal, but hopefully we've got you.
Okay, the highlight of the athletics this morning at the Scotstoun Stadium is the men's decathlon. And we all remember the Daley Thompson game on ZX Spectrum, the Daley Thompson decathlon. And where does it always start? The 110-metre hurdles. And we've got 36-year-old Canadian, former Olympic champion from 2020, Damien Warner, in action. And he's already the quickest man in the field. He has won the 110-metre hurdles. Callum Newby of Scotland won his heat too. He is fifth after the first event. Over at the track cycling at the International Arena, the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome, England and Wales women's team pursuit, they will be battling out for bronze this afternoon because Josie Knight's England against world champion Anna Morris's Wales team unfortunately were beaten by Australia and New Zealand, who will go for gold. So it'll be England-Wales for a bronze medal later on in the team pursuit. There are 7 gold medals available at the track cycling. In the women's tandem sprint, Sophie Unwin and England's Lizzie Jordan qualified first and second for their semi-finals. I know you guys were just talking about the future of elite cricket with Steve Harmison. Well, I've been talking to Jamal Anderson this morning, who is the double Commonwealth Games 3x3 champion. So he was in Birmingham, won a gold, and he's won a gold here with a brilliant win over Australia last night. He has told me this morning, that everything is in place in our country for world-class 3x3 sport. We could be brilliant at it. Basketball is the second most played sport by the youth in the UK, behind football. All he says is they need support. They need funding and they need support. So he is calling for that this morning. And very quickly, just to finish with a huge match for the netball team tonight. England against South Africa at 9 o'clock. It's second versus third in Pool A. Whoever wins goes through to the semi-finals and a chance of a medal. This is the Commonwealth Games from Glasgow 2026. It's across the talkSPORT network.
Top man, John, thank you very much. Now, are you ready for this? This is the biggest hustle in talkSPORT history. This is a man that has pitched an idea to the talkSPORT bosses and he's got himself in deeper than he could ever wish. Mike Scott is out in Portugal right now. You may have seen this across our social medias. Mike's, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I've recovered from my bleep test, but I have made the stupid decision of wearing trousers in the sort of 30-degree Portugal sunshine. But as you can see, I'm at Nottingham Forest training ground. Oliver Glasner putting these players through their paces. So having spoken to a lot of the team yesterday, it's clear here that there's a sense of intensity in this. And I know we see me having an absolute jolly on socials apart from that bleep test, but these players are really being put through their paces. And there's a real sense here that this is a proper elite sort of environment here now that the club have brought Oliver Glasner in.
Now, listen, on this bleep test, somebody were telling me that you nailed level 18 yesterday. Is this true?
Yeah, that's what they're telling me. I mean, I didn't have time to listen to what
that
level
didn't
I was
happen,
at,
mate. 18.
No.
That's pro level.
Yeah, that's what happened. Crawl, come on, Catman.
You can
Come
get
on.
drugs for anything nowadays to help those things.
Hey, I'm telling you. Mate, you might be getting a contract at the end of this, Sunshine, if you keep going like that.
Well, you know, 6'7", 100 kilograms, aerial threat. You just never know. Oliver Glasner sat over just over my right shoulder on the ball.
Yeah.
He's not currently looking at me, but maybe he'll review the footage and see the goal. For example, I scored at the City Ground earlier this season in a Legends game, and he might think, yeah, we'll get him on a rolling contract.
Have you taken your boots with you, mate? Because listen, if you're going to hustle like this, you've got to put a shift in at some point. Get a little five-a-side game going or something.
Yeah, well, look, I did bring my boots because I needed them for the bleep test. But I think, in all seriousness, it's been incredible for me to sort of get a sense of the intensity of this pre-season training camp. But there's no time for sort of fooling around on the pitch with a Forest fan and talkSPORT host. So the players are very much locked in here, and we, of course, the club have given us incredible access. We had a great sit down with Morgan Gibbs-White. You can watch that on the YouTube channel. It's being played on throughout the shows. We had Captain Ryan Yates with us on the breakfast show as well as Oliver Glasner. So the club have been great to us, but in terms of sort of me having a kick around at training, it's all business right here, and just sort of waiting to come on air. The expectations are just clear just in the warm-up drill that we're seeing. So I think I'd be chancing my arm too much if I asked for a game of crossbar challenge or whatever.
Well, let's have a little bit of a look at that sit down that you had with Morgan Gibbs-White. This took place yesterday out in Portugal with Max.
Now we've got that elite manager, that elite mindset, someone to push us and strive us through what we need. I really feel like we have that now. In terms of his ideas and stuff, it's been top. It's very clear. It's not difficult to understand. It's very clear and very demanding.
Do you feel that you need that sort of manager to get the best out of you, or do you think you always bring that out yourself?
I think I'm able to always bring it out of myself. But I've always, as a player, I've always enjoyed having someone behind me, whether it's a manager, whether it's other players, always pushing to want to get more and more out of me. And I feel like this group of staff and the technical staff that the manager's brought in is a perfect example of pushing players, trying to get the best out of players, even individually, showing individual clips around the hotel at night times, just to trying to get each individual better. Has been the key sort of aspects for me. So obviously I know how to get the best out of myself, but always having someone there to push you and remind you of what you need to do.
Morgan Gibbs-White catching up with Max yesterday out in Portugal. Max, listen, as a fan, and I know that this is a fantastic opportunity for you to see this up close and personal, and a lot of Forest fans are going to be living vicariously through you, mate. But there must be an unbelievable expectation for the season coming up. Obviously, getting Oliver Glasner's a hell of a coup in the close season.
Yeah, of course it is. It's an incredible appointment. I think it's indicative of the ambition at the club. And as I said, speaking to the players that are just sort of right now going through their warm-ups, they understand that as well. I think they feel that. Oliver Glasner has been a winner wherever he's gone. And so for the club to be able to get him in, I think that the hope amongst fans here is that this is a new era of stability where there'll be longevity. Of course, we saw what happened last season with the managerial turnover. And I think that what we're seeing here is, like I say, that elite environment where players feel that, this playing squad, the conversations I had with you, Catman, the conversations I had with colleagues on talkSPORT last year, whether it was on air or not, was this side on paper are far too good to be in a relegation fight. Mm-hmm. And I think that, what they achieved in that European season was not only a significant feat for the team, but gave them the belief that actually the players that they've currently got, with more additions to be expected, we've heard about Ousmane Dembele, Diomande, which Ben Jacobs has been reporting on talkSPORT, that being close through the door. With players that they've already got, and the players that are likely to come in, that next season, could well be another European charge. We've seen Oliver Glasner, wherever he's gone, win silverware. He's done it in England, he's done it in the Premier League. I think the hope from fans who've been watching our coverage of this pre-season training camp is that there's something special on the cards.
What I love there, mate, is that little Freudian slip. Everybody got excited that Dembele was on his way to Nottingham Forest, mate. They were all going wild.
Yeah.
From a fan's point of view...
Well, you never know. You never know.
You never know. Absolutely never know. From a fan's point of view, just to finish off, what would you like when you're talking additions? Where do you think though a little bit of strengthening is required for the new season?
Well, I think ultimately it's about the spine of the squad, and I think that reading reports and seeing the profile of this team, that Diomande signing at centre-back is going to be great from pre-season. We've seen Oliver Glasner play in a back three, and I think that he would be a great addition to that back line. We've signed Cassander Schlager, a player that's played under Glasner before, a centre midfielder who's very versatile and knows the Glasner system. But with Elliot Anderson, he's almost an irreplaceable player. I don't think you can buy like for like in the current market, so I'd expect another central midfielder. And then a striker. We know how Chris Wood has been. He's been, the form of his life. He's an incredibly important leader in this Nottingham Forest side, garners the respect of fans, staff and players alike. But I would love to see the club go in for a striker of Chris Wood's profile, someone like Liam Delap, who we understand may be surplus to requirements at Chelsea. There'll be lots of competition for a player like him with the physicality and the youth and the pedigree that he's got. But I think that someone like him of that calibre and of that pedigree would be great for Forest moving forward, give them the strength in depth that we know that they need heading into this season.
Fantastic access and insight, Max, as always, my man. Don't forget the sun cream. It's warm out there. All right, pal?
Yeah, well, I don't need it for my legs because I've got my trousers on. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm already feeling it. So looking forward to getting under these sprinklers in a couple of minutes.
Good lad. Enjoy the rest of your day, mate. Much appreciated. And thank you very much once again for being on the programme. Interesting season ahead for them because Glasner is a wonderful coup.
Yeah, he's elite and he's won trophies. They've got one of the best managers in the Premier League and fair play to Marianakis. I mean, Forest are at a different level. It's crazy, really. I mean, he gets a lot of criticism for all the on-pitch stuff and firing managers, but he obviously wants the best, and he's obviously very ambitious, and he shows that with his actions, and I guess all his actions have led them here. So, lots to be excited about for Forest, and I'm sure they're not done in the window.
Coming up after 12 o'clock, so we're about half an hour away from this, we are, of course, going to talk a little bit about boxing. I know on Thursday they normally do an hour. We're going to do, 15, 30 minutes, something like that, on everything that's coming up this weekend with Piers O'Leary in action in Dublin. So we'll be speaking to him, and Spencer Oliver will be with us as well. But we'll get back to the football next. Don't go anywhere.
Has gone crazy, but I think that you almost have to just suspend your reality.
And not the worst things about this crazy spending. How many in the history of the Premier League have actually landed.
No, that's true.
One.
I would say of
Virgil
the most
van Dijk. One
of the most expensive players in the Premier League. Like Romelu Lukaku is on that list twice.
Yeah.
And he failed twice. Paul Pogba is on that list.
Yeah.
Failed.
Harry Maguire's not failed, but
yeah. I mean, Andrei Shevchenko at one point would have been on that list. Failed. Fernando Torres at one point would have been on that list. Failed.
Yeah.
There are countless examples of players who have moved for huge amounts of money, come with that level of expectation.
Declan Rice has lived up to it.
Declan Rice has most certainly
still
lived up
too much, but he's lived up to it.
Well, Declan Rice is actually an interesting one because I would argue that if there is a £100 million player, Declan Rice is it. Declan Rice.
That's
I think Declan Rice has. Well, if you look at what Declan Rice has done since he's been at Arsenal, he won European silverware, uninspiring European silverware in my opinion, but he won European silverware at West Ham. He then went to Arsenal and was the catalyst to them ending a 20-year Premier League trophy drought. So yeah, I think if anybody is worth, he's been a stalwart of an England team that has had some relative.
Talk Sport News.
Good morning. There have been of just 100 more in all of 2022. There's been a large forest fire in Suffolk and half the country is in drought. Amy Fairman from campaign group River Action told us we could have preserved water from the floods in winter.
How we store water, how we capture water within the landscapes, how we use reinstate wetlands and reed beds, etc. We need to look at how we're using water, both at a household level and an industrial level.
The number of deaths in prisons in England and Wales has fallen by 10% in the year to June compared with the previous year. According to the Ministry of Justice, 359 deaths were recorded, and of these, 71 were self-inflicted, a fall of 18% to the previous year. The rate of self-harm and the rate of assaults in prisons have also fallen. Oil company Shell's earnings have doubled in a year and are up £5 billion on the first quarter of the year. Its traders were able to capitalise on the volatile cost of crude oil.
Talk Sport Sports Headlines with Bostik. For professional grade sealants with easy application and a perfect finish, pros trust Bostik.
Eddie Howe has left Newcastle and England have a new Test cricket coach, and Joe Root returns to the captaincy. Toby has more at 12.
Good morning. You're listening to talkSPORT, and now it is time to catch you up with all the latest odds thanks to BetMGM.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
Joining us once again, Sean Martin's here. Sean, how are you, mate?
Morning, lads. Not bad at all. How are you both?
Very well indeed, mate. It's Newcastle heavy on the programme this morning. I've no doubt that this is Newcastle heavy as well, my man. Big story overnight, and obviously I'm sure there's various odds that are now connected to Newcastle in their upcoming season.
Yeah, so obviously that is the big news of the day today. Eddie Howe gone 5 years, delivered the first domestic cup win, 70-odd years, another cup final, 2 seasons of Champions League football. It will be a seriously hard act to replace, I think. And on that note, German manager Matthias Jassel, not yet confirmed as far as I know, but so heavily reported to be taking over that we aren't taking any bets on the next Newcastle manager at all. The news has, however, affected their odds going into the new season. Newcastle were 40-1 for the league, 9-1 for a top 4 finish, 11-2 top 5, 7-2 top 6, and odds on at 3-5 for a top half finish. They're now 150-1 for the league, 14s for top 4, 4-1 top 6, and they've moved over even money for a top 10 finish. Added to that, they were 20-1 to be relegated at the start of the week, and that's not far off, halved after the Eddie Howe news. It's now 12-1 for that, lads.
Look at that. just got
strong
uncertainty. That's what it is, because people don't know too much about the new guy coming in. That's all it is.
What are the odds on Newcastle having 2 managers this season?
I'll get that priced up, get back to you on Twitter, I think, for that one. Yeah.
Staring it.
Outside the box bets.
Away from Newcastle, let's have a little bit of a look at Liverpool, because they've obviously got a new manager this season in Areola coming in. How are they shaping up odds-wise ahead of the new season?
Yeah, so curious to start off with here, because once again, our opinion was divided amongst the BetMGM guys earlier. I'm sure you've touched on it before, but tell me, Darragh, the Andoni Areola appointment, were you happy about that? Did you think he's the right one to take Liverpool forward?
I like him a lot. Spoke to one of his assistants last summer about what he does training-wise, intensity-wise. He's been brilliant with young players at Bournemouth. I think Liverpool have got a potential superstar manager on their hands. I do. I don't like the fact he only signed. Was it a 2-year deal or a 3? I can't remember. Was it 2 or 3 years?
I don't know the term.
I didn't love the length of his contract, but yeah, I do like him as a manager. I'd be interested to see top 4 and a cup win. What would the odds on that be? As a combined bet. Cup win, top 4.
To win in top 4. I'll look that up. For you.
2 year, by the way. I've just had that.
2 year. 2 year, yeah. Didn't love that.
I mean, with a 2-year deal, if he starts well, that'll get extended double quick, won't it? It's not probably a deal breaker.
Yeah, I'm a bit.
Do you reckon that's on him? Because he did.
It is on him.
He did do 1 year rolling contracts.
It is on him, but I also think that you worry about Real Madrid maybe in a year or 2. They need a new manager.
From a Liverpool.
Spanish. Yeah, of course. And that's the problem. You bring a manager in for 2 years and you're trying to build a squad. You're trying to do all those things. 2 years isn't a long time, So I didn't love that part of it. But it is what it is. I like him. I think he'll do well.
The Premier League and FA Cup double, it's around about 40 to 1 or so. So decent odds. I think we were divided earlier on. There was some of us, and I probably count myself in this camp as well, slightly unconvinced for the moment that the job he did at Bournemouth, which was very impressive, by the way, don't get me wrong, just does that suggest he's a Liverpool level manager? He over-delivered at Bournemouth. It's kind of close to impossible to over-deliver at a club like Liverpool. Totally different expectations, different pressures, day by day, never mind week by week. Not used to winning trophies as a manager or a player. Lost the likes of Salah and Robertson. I don't know. I am so intrigued to see how it goes for him at Anfield this season for those reasons. In terms of the odds, Liverpool are 11-2 third favourites for the title. This time last year, and I know you mentioned it yesterday, they were 7-4 front runners after all that spending. 2-1 to finish top 2 and odds on for top 4, 5 and 6.
That's the key thing, isn't it? It's the size of the club that he's taking on.
Yeah,
because his football's brilliant. It's just the size of the club and whether he can manage everything that comes with it.
I always find it sometimes disrespectful to a manager and a character that, it's a big club and he's been at Bournemouth. How's he going to manage? Well, with all due respect to Slot, he's come from Holland. He's come in and he's slotted in quite comfortably and won a title quickly, and now he's out the door. I think what the fans are going to like with Areola, if you watch their first friendlies, and I've watched them, they beat Wrexham last night, I believe. The style he's going to put in play is going to excite fans.
Yeah.
And that would be the difference with Slot. I think he's going to be very good for the young players. That young kid, Rio, I think is going to be a superstar. Under this manager. Here's where Slot went wrong. Slot didn't play that kid enough. No. He did near the end, because he was under pressure too. This manager would have played him at 16. Probably would have started 20 games. So I'm excited what he can do with our young players. I'm not sure they're going to get all the positions filled they need this summer. They want to spend this 120 million on Barcola. I just think there's other spots they're going to need help in. I'm excited by him. I think he's going to do well. I was a betting man.
Where would you spend your money initially? Did you say right back yesterday?
We need a right winger, but we need also we need Wharton from Palace. And I'm sorry, Steve Parish. I was trying to sell him before to another club, but we need a player like that. We need a right back, potentially a right back that can play centre back, cover 2 positions.
Okay.
Need definitely something in midfield, and we definitely need a right winger. We've got like 3-4 all left-sided wingers now, in the squad. So there's an imbalance there. So I'm excited to see what he can do. I think he'd be low maintenance. He was very low maintenance at Bournemouth. I think Liverpool owners like low maintenance managers who aren't complaining about the lack of recruitment or we haven't got players signed. And I think the fans will get close to him because of the way he wants his team to press. And they play with a certain style. Slot was very different. It was a slower build-up. It's
a little bit closer to Klopp.
Yeah, a little bit closer without the heavy rock and roll.
Yeah.
So let's call it, heavy romance music. You know what I mean? It's not a rocky roll. Yeah. I think so. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're going to press, and then they're going to make love to the goal. But I do, and I think Isak's going to have a breakout season for Liverpool after last year's troubles. I like the look of him at the World Cup. He stays fit. I think they will push, City or Arsenal for the title potentially. Yeah.
And then
A couple of the names you mentioned there, Darragh, but Barcola's actually now 3 to 10, so odds on to join Liverpool. Adam Wharton, we do have odds on him to join Liverpool. 13 to 2 though.
What a player. Listen, there's a player I'm happy if they spend 90 million quid on. What a player.
Blackburn boy. Listen, starts tomorrow night, my man. Let's get stuck into some Scottish Premiership, shall we? What's the situation regarding the odds and who's favourite to lift that title this season?
Here we go.
Look at him. His face is lit up now. He's ready to go. Go on, Shotty boy.
Kicks off tomorrow night. Rangers play Dundee United. Celtic don't actually start until Monday night, but in any case, Celtic 4-5 favourites to win the league. Rangers in there is 7-5 Celtic favourites. Hearts 6-1. Everyone else 6-1 or more. With Hearts, I just think they'll be hard pushed to repeat last season's exploits. I doubt Celtic and Rangers are going to be quite as far off it as they were at times last term, whether it was off the pitch or on the pitch. You could argue, though, to put the silver lining on it, Hearts are still ahead of schedule with the whole Tony Bloom, Jamestown project. Anyway, I think expectations probably for them built round almost consolidation, not necessarily another title tilt. Rangers been pretty active in the transfer market, not least taking Hearts captain and top scorer Lauren Shankland, Hearts midfielder Cammy Devlin, and Hearts manager Derek McInnes. So I expect them to be a lot tougher than last season for that reason. Not sure for now that necessarily equates to better, but we will see how that plays out in the fullness of time. And then, of course, Celtic. You might need to indulge me a wee bit here, Adam. I mentioned yesterday, credit where it's due, for breaking the club transfer record, signing Casper Ho from Bodo Glimt. Good to see a signing like that being made before the European qualifiers, because that's certainly not always been the case. Still, and I mentioned this, and I know you spoke about it before though, Darragh, but still major concerns over kind of transparency of the executive leadership, overall club structure. That said, timing was impeccable last night. The club did release a statement on fan engagement last night. To me, again, only my opinion, but until proven otherwise, it reads kind of like a PR exercise with a kind of suggestion box at the end rather than proactive engagement. But let's see on that one. If there is real movement in the coming weeks, I'll hold my hands up. We'll be the first to do it. And ahead of this season, I know there'll be people listening here going, it's Celtic fan moaning. Why are you moaning? You won 14 of the last 15 titles. I get it. Regardless of I say this to Simon all the time, regardless of disunity, structure issues, biggest resources, I get it. You'll be people listening going, dry your eyes, your goal's not shiny enough, your copas are diamond encrusted, they're too tight. I get it. But the real politic, and I'm curious, Darragh, where you sit in this, but the real politic of the Celtic situation, for me, and a lot of other people, there's genuine concerns over a lack of kind of coordinated levelling up from that position of financial power, and that's going back several seasons back. You can argue 2013, maybe a bit before that. It's not just the last season or so, although it got a lot of media attention last season, and it's not just measured by volume of trophies either.
Yeah, I'm going to defend the owner here, Sean Carr, and just say that when you buy a football club, I guess your promise to fans is to try and be successful. So if that equates to 14 out of 15 league titles, what are we talking about? And I understand last season multiple managers coming and going, they got it wrong, and Martin stepped in twice, and they ended up winning another title. I mean, it's almost like being married and you give your wife everything. You give her the biggest house, you give her the biggest car.
Where you going here now?
No. You make love to her 10 times a week. She's smiling all week long. Everything's great. Hang on, everything's great, but she's not happy. So I guess I'd say to you, the miserable Celtic fan here, and I'm a Celtic fan, I would say to you, what do you want from them? They don't have the Premier League 200 million every year. Yes, they got a big fan base. Yes, they got all that revenue. Yes, they bring in more money probably than even Rangers, and they're in the Champions League every year. Do you want the Newcastle owners at Celtic? What do you want? I know I'm not defending. Is it Dermot Desmond who owns Celtic still? I'm not defending him here in that way, but I'm just trying to say he's bringing trophy success every single year, and as an owner, I guess you're judged on the success of the football club, right? So give me your top 3 issues with the ownership at Celtic and why, and make it quick.
I'll try my best. Dermot Desmond is principal shareholder. I think to me it becomes most conspicuous when it comes to the European qualifiers. Yes, domestic success is there, but that should be the base, not the bare minimum, and it's become the bare minimum. And yeah, I think European qualifiers in particular, it's again not last season just because of the Karabag result, Kairat Almaty, sorry. It's gone on for years. Anytime you've had to qualify, they haven't qualified. Much of that has been down to a structural issue where they either don't recruit in time or they do recruit but they wait until they see if they've qualified. That has a knock-on effect year to year. Sometimes they get away with it. Automatic qualification under Ange Postecoglou in particular, it wasn't an issue because you were in regardless. You got the Champions League money. So there's a lack of speculating to accumulate there, I think, especially from, and not in spite of, this platform of domestic dominance. That should be the platform to go and maybe make some sort of impact in Europe, and the domestic scene would take care of itself. Last season, we also saw that having a knock-on effect in the league. It was a shambles at times last season. Martin O'Neill, as you say, I know you're friends with him, managed to get the club out the mire, not once but twice, and conjured up a double at the end of it, which is to his eternal credit.
Hearts had the season of their life. Celtic had a disastrous season, yet Celtic won the title.
Yeah, I know. And to be honest, I can almost see the rationale by saying, right, actually, if Martin O'Neill wasn't so much of a winner and didn't actually manage to do a double, arguably that would have prompted maybe more structural change than it otherwise did. But he got them out the mire, not once but twice.
But let me put you on the record here. As long as you qualify for the Champions League proper, all the group games and whatever else, you don't care if Rangers wins the title. As long as you're in the Champions League.
No.
Well, that's kind of what you said.
That's not where I was going with that.
Beep. There's a Simon Jordan reverse the bus in the car park time.
Yeah.
What's going on? Are you reversing the bus here?
No. That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
That's
I
what you
said
said,
the
right?
domestic No. The domestic dominance should be the platform. And if you take care of the European stuff, the domestic stuff should follow. Not that you're happy to lose the league if it means going an extra round in the Champions League.
Okay.
You're not. But there's no reason the two can't go hand in hand when you're in this position of strength domestically.
How far should Celtic go in the Champions League every year? Tell me.
If everything's working behind the scenes.
Yeah. How far?
You look, where did the Club Bruges get to? Minimum round of 32, last 16 maybe.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. No problems. We're being told by the producer this is getting boring now. We've got to move on.
I would enjoy it. You two having a little scrap, which is nice.
That's the Scottish football effect.
Sean, you're a top man. Thank you very much. All the latest odds thanks to BetMGM, betmgm.co.uk. Yeah, you can download their app or you can visit begambleaware.org. You've got to be over 18.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Well, this is probably one that Darragh would be more interested in because it concerns his beloved Liverpool.
Don't sign him. Don't sign him.
You don't want him?
No, not for that kind of money, no. We need a central defender. We need another midfielder. Yes, we need a winger. They spent 100-odd million on him. They're not going to do any more. And we need a right back. I just think, I look at his figures and I look at where he is and whatever else. No, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. Nope. No.
Wow. See, I think he'd be a great addition to the Premier League. But in terms of the figures, obviously PSG were touting over the weekend. They wanted 145 million. I think the opening bid from Liverpool is going to be a lot less than that, maybe nearer the 80 to 100 million pound mark with add-ons. Will that be enough to persuade them to do business? Who knows? But Barker isn't signing a new contract as it stands, so PSG not necessarily in a strong position.
Why do you think he'll be a serious asset in the Premier League? Tell me what he can do in the Premier League. I've looked at all his data. I've seen his Champions League data. I've seen in France. Someone even put up a comparison with Cody Gakpo, and I'm not his biggest fan. Gakpo was pretty much ahead of him in a lot of the data. World Cup goals, Champions League goals, and I'm not no comparison, but you've just made a statement there that you want to see him in the Premier League and whatever. Why?
I think he's a top player. I think he's been a top player for France.
Good morning. It is talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Darragh McAnthony is alongside me. We have gone nearly 2 hours without speaking about your mate, Gianni Infantino.
Gianni. Where's my 40 million?
Well,
I said I'd put his name tattooed on my backside if he was writing Peterborough a check.
Get Peterborough signed up for this.
What's going on?
Come on.
What's going on, Gianni?
FIFA offers $40 million if nations back the plan. This is basically ahead of a meeting today. So UEFA will hold an emergency meeting this afternoon to discuss its response to these plans that we were speaking about extensively yesterday regarding... I'll be careful of how I highlight this because you said, listen, it's not selling the World Cup, but he is looking for third-party investment. With UEFA holding an emergency meeting to discuss Infantino's proposal, could they really vote to boycott the World Cup? But you can't imagine that if you're offering 40 million quid.
No, look, money talks, right? And that's what we say. I guess the interesting thing for me would be, does this open up a case that if UEFA with the Champions League, they control the Champions League, UEFA, right? So say they go down the same route in the next couple of years and some billionaire consortium come in and go, hey, we want to own 10% of the Champions League. And that means we're going to give all these big clubs in the Premier League in Europe an extra 50 million that's going to go back into our leagues and all the way down the pyramid and whatever else. Would FIFA boycott UEFA? I'm just saying that you got to be very careful here because this could be something that happens to UEFA down the line. And then the headlines from you guys are going to be, UEFA have sold the Champions League to Donald Trump's nephew. And that's the world we live in now. This is capitalism. This is like big venture capitalists. They see sport as something there's a lot of money to be made of down the line. We don't know the detail.
I'm also being told as well, this is just coming from our producer here, UEFA are in talks to put forward a candidate to rival Gianni in the FIFA presidential election. That was exclusively revealed a little earlier on by us here at talkSPORT. You need it though, don't you? You do need a little bit of competition for this particular.
Oh, I agree. I don't like the dictatorship that's in place. So, the whole voting thing needs to be overhauled. So, I do agree that you definitely need more candidates. I don't know, when is he up? When is his term up that he's going to be
we'll find out.
Voted back in? But there's no doubt look, he's created a rod off his back for this. This is not going to end well for him. Even if he brings all this money in, he's going to be hounded out somehow. And that's just going to happen. The press are going to hound him out. UEFA are going to hound him out. He will leave. But I don't think that might stop this deal.
Well, from a FIFA point of view, let's say he is unsuccessful in this particular case. It does feel like they're transfixed on maximising revenues now going forward.
And that's kind of his job. I guess one of his jobs is to bring revenues in and obviously spread that wealth, hopefully, not to his friends, but to the football industry and the football world. But again, we're talking about stuff I've no idea about. I read last night, or saw on Sky, everyone got this report and they have to sign up in the next 55 days.
Yeah.
But that report hasn't been leaked yet, has it? It hasn't got out. So
this comes down to the detail that you're talking about.
Yeah, I'd love to read it. I'd love to read the detail because, again, you can never say no to anything until you've read something A to Z.
You have all the information.
You have all the information. That's key. Why we all get our knickers in a knot and we get excited about the World Cups getting sold to a load of venture capitalists, we don't really know what that involves.
He's up next year, by the way. He's up next year.
He's up next year. Okay. I would imagine he's.
You going to run?
If the pay is good enough. Absolutely. I told you, I'm for sale like everyone else. In a legal way. Everybody's got a price.
We'll turn our attention towards boxing next. Spencer Oliver's going to be in the studio. Don't go anywhere.
Eddie Howe, we understand, is to leave his position as Newcastle manager after 5 years in charge at St James's Park. It looks like this is as much Eddie's decision as it is the club's. I know there's been frustrations in the transfer market with various potential deals falling through. Obviously, Anthony Gordon, Sandro Tonali, potentially Bruno Guimaraes leaving the club. And it looks like Eddie Howe has decided now is the right time for him to take a break. So Eddie Howe to leave Newcastle, we understand at talkSPORT, after 5 years in the job. Coming in to replace him potentially is the German Matthias Yassel, currently coaching over in the Saudi Pro League with Al-Akli. So this could develop very quickly.
Yeah, thanks for that, Crookie. Let's stay there. We've got questions for you. I mean, this is absolutely huge for so many reasons. One is the fact that the start of the Premier League is only, 3 weeks away. Where does this leave Newcastle now?
Well, as I say, they're moving quickly. Just got a message from my colleague Ben Jacobs that Yassel will be the new manager. That deal is already agreed. So I guess a smooth transition in that regard, but it's not ideal, is it? Just a few weeks before they play Liverpool. I'll be there at St James's Park.
Talk Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Toby Gillis. Eddie Howe has left Newcastle United after 5 years in charge. It's understood he has no plans to make any immediate return to management. Howe was in charge of a pre-season friendly at Bristol City only last night. After the match, he still appeared committed.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of change at the football club and potentially more to come. So I think there's always reason to be optimistic, and that's very much my default setting. Great things are possible every season. I think always go in with a real buzz of what's ahead. I see no reason to be any different this year.
It's understood transfer woes were a big factor in his departure. Here's talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, Alex Crook.
The strategy this summer for Newcastle is that they're replacing those who leave with young, up-and-coming players from Europe. It's a gamble, I think, when you go down that road.
Newcastle are expected to replace Howe with the German Matthias Jaissler, a two-time Austrian Bundesliga winner with RB Salzburg, who's currently with Al Ahly in Saudi. We've got more on that story, of course, at talksport.com. Now, the fight to save football from FIFA continues today. European nations are meeting as UEFA members discuss FIFA's plans to sell stakes in the World Cup. Gianni Infantino has been defending the plans for future tournaments as football's natural progression. Chelsea have officially confirmed Maxence Lacroix has signed from Crystal Palace on a 6-year contract, and confirmation of former New Zealand captain Stephen Fleming becoming England's Test cricket coach. The big news, arguably, though, is that Joe Root is the permanent captain once again. talkSPORT's legendary former England bowler Steve Harmison told us Fleming's appointment is an odd one, given predecessor and former international teammate Brendan McCullum is still around with the white ball team.
Have you ever heard of a leader have to come into a job and work alongside the bloke that's been sacked and possibly share a desk with him? Do you know what I mean? So from that point of view, you had to get somebody that worked with McCullum, because McCullum's not going anywhere until after the World Cup in October.
There'll be loads more on this on talkSPORT's cricket YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
Nearly 3,000 people have died from the heat this May and June, and firefighters are battling to contain a wildfire in Suffolk. Emma has more at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. For a limited time only, get 10% off 2 or more selected premium tyres in our big summer sale. Visit quickfit.com and book today. Conditions apply.
It'll be fresher with sunshine in the north as showers move away towards the southeast, though it'll stay windy and wet across Scotland. Those showers reaching the southeast by early evening.
Good afternoon, just gone 12 o'clock. I'm Adam Catterall. Darragh McAnthony is alongside me. Lots still to come on the programme before we finish at 1 and hand over to the illustrious team there. Right now, we are turning our attention towards boxing. Every Thursday, Simon and Jim do get stuck into the boxing hour. We're not going to do a full hour. We'll do a little half an hour with the main man that is Mr. Spencer Oliver.
Hang on, by the way. Yeah,
mate, he's had more holidays than Judith Chalmers this time.
mate. Little cheeky half hour. Always good to be in with you boys, talking boxing, of course.
You're going to tell me that you've just been stood in the back garden with that now, aren't you?
Catman, you know where I've been here, mate.
Yeah, I know you've been.
I was in Vegas. I got married in Vegas. Had a week out there, obviously lying down, soaking it up, Bellagio, all over, lovely sun.
All for free.
And then jumped straight into Saudi. Anthony Joshua fight week. So, what a week that was, wasn't it, boys? Eh?
We were just talking inside.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
The unexpected.
Wow.
And that's what's the beauty about boxing, right? Is the unpredictability of the fight game. No one expected it. Christian Prenga, a guy that was coming here with a great record, We thought, okay, padded record somewhat. It was great. Looked good for AJ. Reinstall that confidence, get him back to where he needs to be before the Fury fight, and
shock.
Tore up the scripts, and that's why we love the game.
Do you think Fury was sat there thinking about his bank balance when Joshua was knocked down twice?
Well, he's done that a couple of times. When Dubois did him.
I think Eddie Hearn was as well, mate. Don't worry about that. He's sitting there, he's seeing it all fall away. But more importantly, I think it was for, for the sport of boxing. We're talking about modern eras, aren't we? And it would, what a crime it would be if we never had AJ boxing Tyson Fury at some point. Forget whether you think they're past their sell-by date or they're not. It's a fight we need to see to round off this great era of boxing that we've had.
Where are you at with it now? Because we were sat next to each other on Saturday night, and that was uncomfortable to watch, that first 3 minutes we answered him, wasn't it? That was an uncomfortable watch. And I look now at Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua as, listen, I think it'll be... I actually think now in 26, it'll be more exciting than it would have been in 2018, because I think maybe in 2018 they might have been cagey. They might have had a little bit of a look at each other. It'd been a bit of a more of a tactical play out, a bit of a chess match. Yeah. This is carnage. In 2026, it's just absolute wham bam thank you ma'am. Let's have it, innit?
I totally agree with that. I think that they're both guys are sort of like level in where they are in their careers, and it makes it far more interesting because it's one shot, turn it around. Tyson Fury versus Mariusz Wach the night before Anthony Joshua. There was vulnerabilities there as well with Tyson Fury. Mariusz Wach, a 46-year-old that won 2 out of his last 10 and was no more than a human punch bag, really. Yeah. He was having some successes. He landed some shots. Tyson Fury didn't look particularly good.
Fury took those shots.
Oh, absolutely did.
What was the guy hitting them, though?
Yeah.
Yes, but he took the shots. The worrying thing for me when I look at AJ is that he wasn't hit hard. I've seen him hit miles harder than that in his career.
Yes.
And he was doing a dance.
I totally agree with that. And you have to question the punch resistance at this stage of his career with what he's been through. Mm-hmm. I just think that he wasn't really at the races, though, Anthony Joshua. When we were there, we spoke to him the week before, didn't we? And he seemed in such a great mindset, accepting that this is where he was in his, and accepting the criticism that he's had in the past of people and now feeding off that. And it was the rebuild, and he was calling it the continuation, not the rebuild. He said, this is the continuation to try and become undisputed again, teaming up with Alexander Usyk, which we thought was a good move as well at this stage of his career. And I think when you get caught as early as he did, which was in the first 20 seconds of the round, your body is cold. When he done that ring walk, I was looking at him thinking...
But Spence, it's not a big shot, mate.
It was a tiny shot. And that is why the debate is now open. Has the punch resistance gone? Because if it has, you don't get it back. And that was
done that to him.
And that was the worry, I think, when we saw that. And that's why, and I agree with you, that when Tyson Fury does start the favourite going into this one, even though his performance wasn't particularly good off Mariusz Wach. But here's another one for you guys to think about. When a guy's boxing, especially these two, and they know it's like the semi-final and it's the final fight before they get into this big fight, the fight that we've all been waiting for. When there's no fear factor there, you're a little bit off the ball as well. And I think that Anthony Joshua's gone in there, he was relaxed and he was bouncing around. That little shot was like, he was holding the back of his head and it was just no more than a little uppercut. We were so surprised as probably the whole of the Anthony Joshua team, as surprised as Eddie Hearn. And it was worrying that he went over the way that he did. One thing that you can guarantee with Anthony Joshua, that he has his vulnerabilities, and he does make his mistakes, but he has concussive punch power and he has a huge heart, and he pulled that out there. And for people that are now, me and Darragh was speaking about it out there, that people that are now, there's this conspiracy theory that was it a fix? It looked too fixed because Prenga come out and he changed his tactics. That was his corner. His corner, stupidly, if they would have done the research on Anthony Joshua, know that he doesn't recover very quickly.
Jump on him.
So this is your time. This is your moment, the golden ticket into the big time.
1 minute.
Go out there, roll the dice and jump on him. And Prenga didn't. He allowed Joshua to get into it. And one thing that you can say about Anthony Joshua, he is an elite finisher, ruthless. And the finish is not questionable. And that's why this fight is still interesting.
He could do that to anyone.
Absolutely, because I think that Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury will be much better versions of themselves when they box each other, hopefully when that fight happens in November.
You think?
I think, yeah.
I think Joshua will be. I think he puts Fury to bed forever.
Do you?
I do, yeah.
Even off what you've watched at the weekend?
No, I watched the Fury stuff. I hadn't seen it. I watched, obviously, the Anthony Joshua one live. I hadn't seen the Fury. I watched it. I think he puts him to bed. I think he'll be retired after that.
It's interesting.
Do you think Joshua gets to Fury before Fury gets to Joshua?
100%, yeah. Because he has to. He has no choice. Because really, you got a guy like that putting Joshua down twice. I know Fury isn't famous for knocking people out, but the one thing about Fury is he would jump on Joshua with his size and whatever else. If he got back up and those legs are gone, he's gone. He can't let that happen. And I would imagine his trainers will be saying the same. This has got to end early. So I think Joshua has, you said, he could knock anybody out. It's just what's happened to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why this is an interesting fight. Honestly, I think I see it as a real 50-50 going in, but off the back of their performances that were both well below par, and they both seem to be well past their best on those performances, I don't think we get that again. And I think that both guys with what's on the line and their egos, and this is a fight that you're remembered for, by the way, guys. Forget that they're both two-time world champions, and you look at their careers and their resumes, and you go, you know what? This is the fight that they will be remembered for. Their career, it is a career-defining fight. And with that on the line, I think that it's a shootout. It really is. It's an interesting one.
It is.
It is.
You know the one thing I look at and go, thank goodness, thank God, Deontay Wilder never got in the ring with Anthony Joshua when he was at his prime before Fury took all that out of Wilder. With that punch he had and that chin of Joshua's, I'm not sure Joshua would have survived that fight.
You know, as I always say, styles make fights, and some people
could say the other way around as well if Joshua lands on him.
Well, this is the point.
I get it, but I also, you've seen enough of Wilder, what he used to do in his prime. Do you know what I mean? So I'd be like...
And he's very explosive, Wilder, and that was the difference, that he would come, and that unpredictability, because Wilder technically was so bad... You want to know where them punches are coming from. Wilder, you didn't know where he was coming from, and he was such a concussive puncher. Yeah, it's like... It's a tough one. Because Fury beat Wilder doesn't mean that Wilder wouldn't beat Joshua.
maths doesn't work up, does it?
Absolutely.
Fury can take punishment, we know, when he's knocked down. We saw that 12 round where he was down, he was out. If that shot had hit Joshua from Wilder, it's like fairy time and lights out. So
you would think so. Off what we've seen against Dubois as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
The big talking point around it, Spence, is where's it taking place?
Come on, give us the inside scoop.
You're asking me that question with a little smile on your face, like you know. I think the front runner right now is New York, Madison Square Garden, because that's the middle ground with the time difference, because the paymasters behind this, which is Turkey Al-Sheikh, Salah, Riyadh Season, they want that fight to be a global fight, for the markets, because of the money that both guys are getting.
But is it
getting paid?
Is it a global fight? Because with all due respect,
great question. That is a great question, because off the back of their performances, it's not great, is it?
No.
And I think that the US market, does it cry out for this?
I want America.
Right.
I'm going. I live in
America. Yeah, I know you do, mate. It's an easier trip for you.
He's just answered the question for you.
I want it in Vegas, actually, not New York. I want a weekend in Vegas.
I think I think if it was going to take place in the US, I would like to see it in Vegas because of the history of Vegas.
But does it do Vegas? Does it sell out in Vegas? Do people travel from the UK for it?
All day long.
Do you?
All day long.
Right. Listen, the whole this whole situation is a business move, isn't it? Because we've got obviously Zuffa Boxing coming into the stratosphere now. They've teamed up with Turkey Al-Sheikh. There's TV deals with Netflix and all this type of thing. This is absolutely a ploy to try and grow the market again once in America. You live there. You know the score. The fight fan in America is massively disengaged. With
Top
boxing.
Rank, HBO, all of them have lost boxing, like the love for boxing.
Absolutely.
I get that.
So they are now trying to re-engage the fan. That is why we've got Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn in September. Now, I do believe that does appeal on a wider scale. Ryan Garcia's got a massive following. It's a Mexican bank holiday weekend. You can tap into that. Conor Benn, with all his controversies, that you can tap into all those types of things, and hopefully that then boosts the interest of an American audience. Are the American audience bothered about Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua? I don't know if they are, mate. I really don't.
Well, here we go. It's going to land on Netflix. Is it going to land on Netflix? There's talk of it landing on Netflix. Anthony Joshua has built a big market up there, boxing Jake Paul, by the way. He's got a lot of fans.
Yeah, that's worked for him.
People.
I agree with that.
So that's worked for him.
Tyson Fury's got his Netflix documentary. I get that.
He's got his Netflix, and also the trilogy with Deontay Wilder. I think there's a market there for that fight.
In America.
In America.
The only reason I'm pointing it out is because this is two British lads, and there's a massive audience for it here in the UK, isn't there?
Well, listen, and I think that the British public, the British boxing fans deserve it here in the UK, and I think that's Anthony Joshua's stance. He wants it to be at Wembley, but it's ultimately it's a business, isn't it? There's a lot of money being invested in this. You know all about business. The money that's invested in it, it has to go where the fight has to go.
Do you know what I think will happen? And we put this towards Frank Smith a little earlier on this week. This is what I think will happen. I think I think they're all in on this November date, and that's kind of where they've all been pointing towards. And I think, obviously, as you've rightfully said, Spence, the paymaster is Turki El-Sheikh. He's making these things happen right now, so therefore, we've had 10 years to make the fight in Britain. It never materialised. He's come along with a pot of dough. I'll stick it where I want to stick it. And I think, from his business point of view, America would make an awful lot of sense because that's where the eyeballs are. That's where the biggest amount of pay-per-views or Netflix viewership is. So I think you were going to get New York City in November, and the thing that will appease the British fight fan will be, we're going to come back in April and May, and we'll do it at Wembley. It's part 2. So I think you'll get one in November, and I think you'll get the second one for the British fight fan on British Soul next year.
You've clearly been speaking to people, mate, because I think you're pretty spot on there.
I have no inside information. I have not had any conversations with anybody.
Yeah, well, say that without a smile on your face, my friend, because that seems pretty near the mark, if I'm totally honest. And I think that works for everybody.
Has your attitudes, gentlemen, changed? Like, say if we'd have made this in 2018, I'm sure you'd have all had an opinion on who would have won that particular fight as a blockbuster for the undisputed champion.
Back then.
You've always thought it was AJ, and you think it's AJ now.
Yeah. Styles.
You don't have to ask me that.
You've always thought it would be AJ. Even in 2018, when Tyson Fury was in his pomp doing his thing, you always thought it was AJ.
Yeah, just because I think styles do make fights, and stylistically, I just think that AJ. Look, and it's one of those. It's just an opinion. Tyson Fury, he's an elite fighter, and and he always figures a way, and his heart is unquestionable.
Yeah.
So it's hard to go against Tyson Fury. Maybe there's an emotional attachment with me with Anthony Joshua because of him coming through, training with my father, etc., and Finchley ABC, all of that. So I'm always going to go with Anthony Joshua, but I'm not going to bet on that. Of course I'm not, because it really is a flip of a coin. It's one of those. Tyson Fury is an incredible fighter, and he'll go down in history as one of the best to ever.
One thing I've always thought, 2018, I always thought it would be Fury, right? Just because I always go with the guy that is more of a boxer, and I think Fury is that guy. Yes. I think it's closer now. It's absolutely closer in 2026, but I would still...
That Wilder trilogy
took so much out of everybody, yeah. I would still side with Tyson just about based on what I saw at the weekend. That punch resistance alarms the living daylights at me with Anthony Joshua.
And I'm with you on that one. That was really, really worrying for me as well. Like, I know the heart's unquestionable. I know that he'll keep
from both men.
And
both men.
Even against Daniel Dubois with Anthony Joshua, he was down 4 times, but he just kept getting up, and you're starting to respect that fact that he was getting up as much as he was, even though he was on the end of a beating, really.
Yeah.
It was a punishing fight. And at this stage of his career, the question mark is massively there now. And we know the trauma that he's been through with his friends and whatnot, but that doesn't affect the punch resistance. And what we saw there was, all right, was it a lucky shot that he was caught cold and he went? I know that when you're caught cold in a fight, you do get rocked to the soles of your boots till those nerve endings are livened up and you're into it. But he did show powers of recovery. He did come back, and it was an elite finish at the end, and that's why
he
the
handled
debate
it better
is still open.
than when Dubois dropped him, obviously, and he tried to get straight back in there. I thought he hung in there in that first round.
Yeah.
He survived, 2 minutes?
Yeah.
And then, obviously, in the second round, he didn't rush straight in. Again, I thought he was better in coming back from that than what happened against Dubois.
And he made slight adjustments in that second round. So there's a lot of talk about Prenger again not going for it, not going. We talked about it, didn't we? Outside, why didn't he just roll the dice and go for it? Sometimes when a fighter composes himself, and Anthony Joshua made slight adjustments, he took centre of the ring, he was up on his toes, his faculties looked fully back intact. He knew where he was, and Prenger then right. Let me just look for that moment. Let me take my time.
Can't wait.
I'm panicking about walking into one.
Heavyweight boxing.
Yeah.
So,
but I guess the question is that. Where does heavyweight box? Once this is finished, once the old men get their payday and knock 3 bells of what out of each other, what's next for the heavyweight?
You need a dance partner for Moses.
Great, that's exactly what it is. You need that dance partner. Moses Atama is undoubtedly going to be dominant over the next decade or so.
They need to get him out to America.
Well, you've got Dubois still in. You've still got him doing his thing.
There's your dance partner. Daniel Dubois is the dance partner for Moses Atama for sure. But he is much further down the line than Moses. We need those young guns. We need an American star coming through. Richard Torres Jr. was that guy, the Olympic silver medalist. They were talking a big talk of him. Goes and gets knocked out in 2 rounds by Frank Sanchez. But he's young enough, 26 years of age. He can come back. But where are the others?
Who have they got in 2 years going to the Olympics? Because that's what we were talking about the other day.
Yeah.
To get that next generation,
America.
They're going to compete with Moses, so you're going to end up with the problem, Lennox Lewis type.
Do you know we've been talking about infrastructure quite a lot, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I know that we've got to go and speak to Piers O'Leary in a minute, but we've been talking about infrastructure, and the problem is in America, because of the disengagement where people aren't actually paying attention to the sport. A lot of these brilliant college athletes that are 6 foot odd
They're
that
not
would
doing
be.
boxing anymore. It's golf.
Mate,
all these other sports.
Well, they're going down NBA. They're going down NFL. That's where they're being pushed towards. They're not being pushed into the boxing gyms. That needs to change. Once you change that, then all of a sudden you'll get these elite amateurs coming back through.
Interesting. I was speaking to Bomac, who's the trainer of Terence Crawford, and he was talking about like the gyms, used to be filled, and hopefully Terence Crawford in this era will bring the kids back into the gym.
No.
But we're not seeing it anymore because people are going into different sports, the NFL, etc., etc.
Makes sense.
The boxing, the growth of boxing has shrunk. I mean, look at the success that they've had in the Olympics over the years. Always dominating with 9 gold medals, 8 gold medals. In the last one, I think they got 1 bronze.
No, you're
the
right.
one that I was out in France 2024, I think they picked up 1 bronze.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
you can earn a lot.
And the flip of that, the amazing thing is the amount of guys that are coming out of the NFL at the end of the career, stepping into the UFC and doing well. So the power's there, the ability's there. It's just getting them early enough and sticking them through the boxing infrastructure. Listen, we're going to continue this conversation in a minute. Piers O'Leary is going to be with us. He's fighting this weekend out in Dublin. And we might as well keep the theme of boxing going because the Commonwealth Games is well and truly rocking and rolling, and John Cushing's all over it. John, tell us a bit more, mate.
Yeah, I've just been sorting out the schedule, Adam, for tomorrow's boxing semi-finals. From 10:30 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, we've got 20 home nation fighters in action. AJ sparring partner Isaac Oko will face Rob McNulty, so England versus Scotland in one of the ties. There are so many bouts tomorrow. Make sure you're tuned in to talkSPORT tomorrow because we'll keep you bang up to date with all the boxing. Just quickly, in the cycling, England will take on Australia in the final of the men's team pursuit for a gold medal tonight. Charlton, Hobbs, Tanfield and Vernon qualified second fastest, but some 2 seconds off the Aussies. Wales will take on New Zealand for bronze. England and Wales will race for the women's team pursuit bronze later as well. And England have a guaranteed medal in the velodrome in the women's tandem sprint. Paralympic champion Sophie Unwin and England teammate Lizzie Jordan in her first Commonwealth Games qualified fastest, but then they lost to Australia and New Zealand in the semis and will face each other for a bronze medal this evening. And over at the Scotstoun Stadium in athletics, the women's mile is underway. Australia's Olympic silver medalist Jess Hull is into Saturday's final. Scotland's Gemma Reekie just got through with a season's best after failing to make the 800-metre final last night. Lots more action to come. The Commonwealth Games is live across the talkSPORT network.
Top man John, you listen to talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go.
Phoned up and said you got 10 players better than John Stones.
I said all time. I didn't say Prem, but let's stick to Prem. All right, let's do this.
Go on.
Virgil van Dijk, John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, Vincent Kompany.
Yeah, that's five.
All right.
Yeah.
Are we going Tony Adams?
Ooh, yeah.
No,
you're not gonna say.
But go on.
Go on. I would.
Campbell.
I'd do Sol Campbell, defo.
And I'm a Tottenham
Sol
fan,
Campbell,
so
come
Sol
on,
Campbell out.
come on, Jamie.
Keep going.
I'm going Sol Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh. Gary Pallister.
Carvalho.
Mate, come on.
Carvalho.
Don't help him. Why are you helping him? Carvalho's not better than John Stones.
Carvalho. Ricardo Carvalho.
Jamie,
Jamie,
hear me
give
out.
me a break, man.
On his day, prime for prime, 1 game for a final, Ledley King.
Yeah, Ledley King. What, you telling me Ledley King? Oh, come on, Jamie.
Listen, Jamie, not the career, but for 1 game in his prime.
I watched John Stones playing the Champions League final.
I know
for
he was
City.
unbelievable.
He was unbelievable. So don't. Let's,
I hear it, but
like,
you know
come
what
on.
I think, yeah? I heard
You can't be
Rory
putting
and
Ledley.
Addy-
boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
Afternoon, you are listening to talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Darragh McAnthony is alongside me, as is the brilliant Spencer Oliver. We were anticipating a conversation here with Piers O'Leary, but I believe he's out and about on his horse at the moment. Is this right? He's still not available. Now, for those that have been keeping up to date with what Piers O'Leary gets up to, he's fighting this weekend once again in Dublin. We were lucky enough to be at his first professional bout in Dublin. So therefore, he's had a career away from the... Basically, he's a Dubliner. He moved to the UK. The whole of his professional career has been in the UK, and then they've decided to take him back to Dublin for the first time, last time out against Maxi Hughes, and he was absolutely outstanding. And obviously Queensberry have thought to themselves, hang on a minute, we've got a ticket seller here, this is a little bit of us, let's get him back into the 3 Arena. That first one that we went to, Spence, was absolutely incredible.
Absolutely. Look, the arena was bouncing, wasn't it? You know, getting boxing back in Ireland was a big thing, back in Dublin. It was a fantastic atmosphere and a brilliant performance. You know, he won in 5 rounds against Maxi Hughes, who's tough, known to be very durable, very tricky, and he shone. He done what he had to do. There was a lot of pressure on his shoulders because it was all about looking good, this big moment. And, you know, the elite fighters, they feed off that pressure. And I think that's what we saw with Piers O'Leary. And he's in a great fight here against Mark Chamberlain as well.
Tough,
another
man.
Good fighter.
This is a difficult one. Obviously, this is all available on DAZN this weekend. You can join DAZN Ultimate for 185 plus fight nights, plus 12 pay-per-views every single year. It includes Itama Hrgovic and Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn, which we'll talk about in a moment. It's all at no extra cost when you've got the DAZN Ultimate. But this weekend, there's 2 fights on, actually. There's one over in the States where you've got the vacant middleweight WBC title with Roach and Zepeda involved with that. And then you've got this between... Piers O'Leary and Mark Chamberlain. Mark Chamberlain was that guy that Turki Al-Sheikh took a shine to, sticks him on a load of cards, gets an opportunity, comes up against Josh Padley, falls a little bit short. Last time out, he was in an absolute war with Jack Rafferty.
Yeah.
And now he's not been in the ring for a year. So this is the interesting thing from a Chamberlain point of view this weekend. Has that war taken something out of him, or has the refresh been really good for him because he was fighting on a regular basis? Has the refresh been really good, and an opportunity here to go away from home and take the candle away from Piers O'Leary? It's a big opportunity for him.
That's what we find out, and that's the beauty of this sport. We find that out on Saturday night because the rest may have done him really good. He's had some tough fights. Mark Chamberlain, as you say, Turki Al-Sheikh's favourite fighter.
He does fall in love with him, doesn't he? We were speaking to Joe Gallagher yesterday, weren't we, with Mikey Talon and people like that.
He has that thing, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And I think that he fell in love with Mark Chamberlain because he fights with his heart on his sleeve. He shows a lot of character. You know, we've seen that in fights of the past against Rafferty, like that. It was a war, a barn burner that them two had, and it come out. You know, they come out a draw. Piers O'Leary is that kid. Is he the next one to, you know, is it the passing of the baton time? Like, this is going to be the next big Irish star. It makes sense that these guys fight at this stage. And for Mark Chamberlain, it may have made sense for him to have that year out. It may have been like
how does it work?
Refresh.
As a boxer, when you get that long out, does that refresh you, or is that worse because of the rust?
It does one of two things. Some fighters... at some stage of their career, it would have, like, Chamberlain's still relatively young, so it may have refreshed him, but it also may affect his timing. If it affects his timing, and Piers O'Leary, who's the more active, on momentum, just won the IBO super lightweight world title, so he's going to have the momentum.
Recently as well, we were there in March.
In March, yeah. In a good fight against Maxi Hughes, a stubborn fighter himself. So he will be on an all-time high, and for Chamberlain, if the timing's just a little bit out and O'Leary gets into a rhythm because, he's very tenacious with his punches, he comes forward, but it's educated pressure, he's a very smart kid, it'll be a bad night for Chamberlain. But if Chamberlain finds the timing straight away and it's that refresh, it's a great fight. It's a launch pad for the winner of this one.
How far does O'Leary go? I mean, what are you thinking?
Well, I think he's definitely I think on his given day, he can win a world title. It's a tough division.
In this division, right?
It's a tough division.
So UK based, right? We've got Dalton Smith, who's absolutely mustard, and he's got a fight coming up with Alberto Puello, hasn't he? That's just been rescheduled for October. Shakur has just become a champion at 140. I know that I spoke to him when I was in America a couple of weeks ago. He still wants to be a 135er, but he's even talking about catch weight fights at 144 against certain lads. So Shakur Stevenson's in and around this.
That's mental.
Who, for me, is the best.
Yeah.
Out of everybody that's out there right now, I think he could be the pound-for-pound number one future guy. So you've got two lads there that's very difficult. Adam Azim's coming through in this particular division. Pearce is very, very talented. Like I said, the performance against Maxi Hughes, don't underestimate that. That was absolutely fantastic. If he comes through this, because there's pressure on him now, people have seen him in Ireland. They're all coming out for him.
We're expecting that now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If he comes through this, then I wouldn't be surprised if there's some type of eliminator on the line for him next time out to try and boost him into title contention at the top level.
And that final eliminator could be against Adam Azim.
Something like that.
That's where you're at. And that's when you find out. That's the acid test for both of them, because they are fringe world class for sure. O'Leary's, he's 19-0 now. He's built it, he's steadily built that. He's gone under the radar a little bit. That was a big announcement last time out against Maxi Hughes, because no one does that to Maxi Hughes. He causes the elite fighters problems. He's one of those tricky guys. It's a good fight, that one. I think that Pierce O'Leary's around at a time where there's stacks with good fighters.
Yeah.
But he could be. You need other dance partners to make superstars. Yeah. And Ireland's been missing that for a while.
Good
We're saying goodbye to Katie Taylor very soon.
What's coming through?
And what's coming through. Pierce O'Leary could be that guy, but he's got some tough nights ahead of him.
He has. Listen, we'll continue the conversation next. Maybe, who knows, Pierce O'Leary might have got off his horse and come to join us. Who knows? We'll get stuck into it next year on talkSPORT.
John is a Newcastle fan, joins us now. Good morning, John.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, very well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well.
John, hold on. John, are you John, the Jack Charlton's son, John?
Yes, I am, yes.
Oh, John, what a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks so much for that.
Thanks very much.
Are you good? Are you well?
I'm very well, very well.
Good.
Can't complain at all.
It's quite ironic that you phoned up. You know what the date is today, right? July the 30th?
Yes, I do.
60 years ago today, your dad won the World Cup with England.
Yes, and funny enough, me and Eddie were talking about his medal.
Yeah.
I think there's only him and my Uncle Bobby who have kept their medals. Everybody else doesn't have them anymore.
Where's your dad's medal?
I've got it.
Have you?
Mm.
Oh, my
I do.
goodness.
Well, there's a bit of a problem with it, actually. When I say I've got it, it was left to me in my dad's will.
Yeah.
But the taxman wants £200,000 off me in inheritance tax.
Oh, you're not going to sell it, are you?
No, I've had to give it back. I've given it back to my mother.
Right.
Because while she's got it, I don't have to pay that money.
How has he come up with that figure? I mean, this is a conversation for another day, sorry, but how on earth has a taxman come up with 200 grand inheritance tax for a World Cup medal?
I've no idea.
That's disgusting.
There's a journalist from the Daily Mirror who's been working on it and helping us to try and sort it out.
talkSPORT News.
Good afternoon with the latest news headlines. I'm Emma Smith. The Bank of England's left interest rates on hold. The base rate stays at 3.75%, a move that was expected despite recent uncertainty over energy prices because of the war in Iran. Next, almost 3,000 people have died because of the hot weather in May and June this year, double the number from last year. Meanwhile, a drought's been declared across several counties. Amy Fairman from River Action told Times Radio the UK simply doesn't have the infrastructure to cope sustainably.
Earlier this year, we had floods and heavy rainfall, and now we're experiencing drought, and it shows us that we can't maintain. We can't capture the water when we're in abundance and use it when we're in shortage.
Smoke still rising after a wildfire tore through woodland overnight on the Suffolk coast. Homes and a holiday park at Dunwich Heath have been evacuated, though fire chiefs say there's no risk to the Sizewell B nuclear power station nearby. Around 90 firefighters are tackling the blaze. National Farmers Union President Tom Bradshaw says many farmers have also joined the effort, just as they did during previous wildfires.
Farmers came to the rescue. They were the fourth emergency service that were there supporting the fire brigade. And we've got to recognise the role of farmers within those communities and being there for when we're needed.
And the BBC's dropped a third gladiator this week, Cyclone. She's unfollowed the production company on social media and deleted all her gladiator photos.
Talk Sport Sports Headlines with Bostik. For workable, easy-to-apply mortar that tools easily, pros trust Bostik.
Eddie Howe has walked out on Newcastle over their transfer dealings, and England confirmed Fleming as Test cricket coach and Joe Root's back as captain. More with Toby at 1.
Morning, you're listening to talkSPORT. You can tell that it's holiday season here at talkSPORT, right? Because I'm just looking through the glass into our production area, and our boss is actually cleaning up. He's got the wet wipes out there. He's doing a full clean down. What's going on? I know the presenters are on holiday right now, but is the cleaning staff on holiday? Is that what it is? You're having to double up, Joe? Is that what you're doing, lad? Fair play to you, mate. Yeah, he's doing it all, mate. He's doing it all. Listen, hopefully we're going to be speaking to Piers O'Leary very shortly. He's in action this weekend out in Dublin. Irish boxing in general, you just kind of touched upon it there, Spence. It does feel like that moment is now coming, that passing of the torch, doesn't it? Because on September the 5th, we have got the show of all shows. And it is absolutely right that Katie Taylor gets this particular moment at Croke Park. We've been talking about it for a long period of time. I know that finances have come into it. I know that infrastructure's come into it, policing, councils, all this type of stuff. But given what she's given, not just to the sport of boxing, but to the Irish people, to get this particular moment, I mean, this is going to be one of those things that I was there. That's what you need to be at if you're a big fight fan.
Absolutely, and I think it's going to be a very emotional night. There's going to be mixed emotions around that night. And Katie Taylor has earned that as something. It was a childhood dream of hers to box at Croke Park. She finally gets that, and I think that she more than deserves that. What an incredible ambassador for the sport of boxing she's been. I mean, Madison Square Garden against Amanda Serrano, she hit record numbers, record decibels, sound decibels. Like, this girl has taken women's boxing, women's sport to another level. You know, going back to the London 2020 games, 2012 games. Yeah, she's been phenomenal. She really has.
Do we underestimate what she's actually done?
Absolutely. And not only that, when you were watching the Serrano trilogy, right, when it was, the commentators all saying Serrano had won every fight, and I'm sitting there watching it, you know, as a big fan going, what are they talking about? Because we're all seeing different things. The wars she went through, I mean, over her career, and she's been fighting, I think, since she was 12. Since she's been
she was blagging it. She was pretending to be a lad in the gym.
That's what I mean. But let me tell you, for women's boxing, like Spence just said, I mean, I'd never watched a women's fight in my life. And I've pretty much watched every one of her fights and spent money and pay-per-view on her. She's been box office for the game.
Yeah, she has.
And you know, there will never be another one like her.
She transcended women's boxing for sure. Yeah. You can't, there's no denying that. There was no eyeballs on women's boxing before Katie Taylor.
Tiger Woods-like effect.
Absolutely. Like, she blew it out of the stratosphere. Yes. And she deserves this fight. I'm glad she's got it.
No, absolutely. It does feel like a celebration. It is a world title fight, remember that, but it does feel like a celebration. And then also a little bit of kudos as well to Eddie Hearn and the team at Matchroom there, because it was Katie that approached them by DM on social media. Yep. They've taken a chance. Like you said, there was nothing beforehand. And look what they created. It's absolutely outstanding. I think for everybody involved, it really is a celebration. One man that will be there, right, after it all goes well for him, fingers crossed, this weekend in his camp, is Piers O'Leary. Now, Piers, I've just been told that you've been roaming the streets of Dublin on the back of your horse, mate. What's been going on this morning?
Yeah, that's right. I'm here now. I'm just attending the press conference. I got picked up by my uncle on my horse. He brought me across the city of Dublin to the Temple Bar where we were having the press conference.
Bro, this is what I like, mate. You're humble as ever. It's not Rolls Royces anymore after your last performances. You're sticking to your guns. You're sticking to what you know. This is what we like to see. I've just been explaining to the boys. Last time out, we were lucky enough to obviously be in Dublin for the fight against Maxi Hughes, and that was the first time as a pro that you were taken back to Dublin to be able to fight in front of your home people. I remember you standing on top of that ramp, mate, and just trying to catch a glimpse of your eyes and the way that it was emotionally connecting with you. That was some night. That must have been some buzz to be back at home fighting in front of the Irish people.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was just the high was so big. It took about 3 weeks really to hit me. And when it did hit me then, I was guilty, so I had no energy. I was zapped. It sucked the life out of me for a long time. About 4 or 5 weeks, then I started getting back in the gym again. I tried to get back in the gym a week later. I was still on the buzz and my body was telling me, you can't do it. I'm not letting you do it.
Yeah, but you've obviously got straight back on the phone to Frank and said, yeah, mate, I fancy doing that again. Can you get me back in there this weekend?
I think they were on the phone to me.
Yeah. Mate, they saw the dollar signs, bro. That's what it is. They saw how well you sold it out that night.
Yeah, well, look, as you said, I am the people's champ. So without their support, Frank wouldn't be coming back here. You know, like, I know the performance I'm putting in at the moment in time, it's fantastic. But yet again, it's the fan base and it's the supporters and it's the people around me and from the area that are giving me the opportunity to be able to come back to Dublin, to the Tree Arena again, fight there, sell it out. And not only that, I'm giving everyone else an opportunity on the rock from Ireland to fight there.
Piers, talk to us a little bit about the emotions of that, because you touched on it there about the anticipation, the build-up, bringing big-time boxing back to Ireland. There's a lot of pressure on your shoulders. We talked about this, in the break before, and how you deal with that. And some fighters sort of, they feed off it. But talk to us about the pressures of after you become victorious. You said it to yourself. You said it there. It's like you have this massive lull as a fighter, don't you? It takes like a week or two for it to sink in and for you to start appreciating what you've just done because of the highs on the build-up. It's very difficult after the fight. You have to question yourself. Why am I not feeling happy? Why am I not in a good place? Why do I feel so down? It's a weird feeling.
It's a crazy feeling. But when I was on that stage, my auntie was the one that sang me out. Not many people know that. And the song that she sang me out was my grandfather's funeral song. So everything in the moment of time was very connected to me and very emotional. And when I looked from pillar to post of the arena, and I seen everybody there, and I went, "Oh my God, these are all for me. This is incredible. This is something that I always dreamt of. Now it's here." And look, I'm not going to lie, I did get a tear in my eye when I was up on the stage, but yet again, I was in a fight. I knew, done a little circle on the stage. I said, set myself, get yourself together, you have a fight, you have a job here to do. Forget about everything else. And that's exactly what I've done.
That's the beauty of the fighter and the mentality of these people that go and do this thing. Listen, the challenges keep coming because Mark Chamberlain's ahead of you this weekend, once again in this particular arena. Talk to me about the challenge that you faced this weekend. What does he bring to the table?
He brings a lot to the table. He's a fantastic guy. Look, he's been on bigger shows, obviously, in Saudi. He's been in the spotlight for a long time, he has been. And I think it's now my time to take over and do a job with him. But look, I'm not underestimating him in any way. He's a fantastic fighter. He's got good attributes. And as soon as he makes a mistake, I'm going to pay.
Piers, how important is this to you? Like, bringing boxing back to Ireland, which is a big thing. You've historically had some great fighters in the past, but Ireland's always sort of been on the map. It's gone a little bit quiet, but how important is it for you to carry that now and put boxing in Ireland back on the map?
It's having that pressure on me. It's absolutely fantastic. Like, let's be honest, I never thought, even last year, you say to me, next year you're going to have 2 shows back to back in Dublin. Never in the hope in hell did I think that. And here I am now doing it, sending them out. So I'm doing something right. And look, it's hard to believe it sometimes, Spencer. It's hard to believe with what I'm doing, but it's obviously my work ethic and me great team behind me that it's all coming together now.
Yeah. Well, we've just been saying you're the future. There's no doubt about that. Well, you're the present and the future. of Irish boxing. We just had a quick word on Katie and what's coming up for her on September the 5th. Just want to get your thoughts on how big of an inspiration she's been, not only for yourself, but other fighters, because you've mentioned a couple of lads there, people like Stephen Kearns and people like that. They're going to be on cards over the next couple of weeks and what have you, mate. It's a big time for Irish boxing at the Three Arena.
Well, listen, the way it is now, Katie Taylor, she's at the moving the goalpost for me, you know, and the way it is.
You've got to get to Croker, mate. That's what it is. That's what she's doing.
You said to me in December, January, where's your dream fight venue? Let's say Vegas or New York. That's scrapped now. It's Crow Park. That's where I want to go.
Brilliant.
I'm going to make BP Promotions Management to get that done alongside with Frank. So, look, they've got the hands full still.
Listen, you're causing headaches left, right and centre because of the policing and all that type of carry on, but you're not bothered. I like it, mate. That's it. Listen.
Well, look, that's what we're in the game for. And that's, look, we can sell it out. Do you know what I mean? In the future, we can sell it out. Look what Kate's doing. You look at the guy, you look at the Irish just love getting behind their own sport. And look, as you said, we're the fighting Irish and we give everything. And I'm just blessed to be in this position at the moment in time now. It's hard to believe. So I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to run away with it as far as I can.
Absolutely, mate. Listen, you've earned it. You've paid your dues, and obviously now is the time to capitalise on it. Enjoy this weekend. I'm sure the fans are coming out. They'll be enjoying themselves Saturday pre-fight, and I've no doubt they'll be enjoying it afterwards as well. You enjoy it too, Piers. Thanks for your time, buddy.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Top man. In fact, the way that he's speaking there, can you imagine him and Shakur Stevenson at Croke Park?
Do you know what? He's one of these guys, Pierce O'Leary, that you need characters in the sport. You're talking about Croke Park, you need characters. He is that character. Yeah. He's just rocked up at a press conference on
his horse.
Like, you know what I mean? And it looks like something out of Peaky Blinders.
You'd expect like McGregor years ago to have done that, you know what I mean? But he's got something about him. I like him.
He really has. He's got that addictive personality. When you're in and around him, like some fighters have that aura. You know when they're in a room. He's that kid,
and he can fight.
He can fight. Yes, he can fight. So let's hope that the future is bright for Pierce O'Leary because
Frank's got some emerging talent, hasn't he?
He's got all the emerging talent, mate. He's wiped out. He's got all the.
Has Eddie been asleep at a wheel? Has he? I mean,
listen, he's the godfather of boxing, mate. Don't worry about that. He's got the heavyweight division absolutely tied up, and he's got some great talent coming through.
He does indeed. Listen, we're going to finish the show off with what we did yesterday about asking questions to Darragh. So if you've got any thoughts on owning football clubs and the business side of the game, you're more than welcome to come and join us on it. Or 3717 223344. We'll continue that on from yesterday. This is talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go.
Thomas Tuchel, what he said, he's a key player for us, whether as a starter or as a substitute. The word substitute would even be uttered about Virgil van Dijk. Imagine someone saying that to Virgil van Dijk, even at 40.
No, I think
be a substitute.
No. You're massively cherry picking.
I'm saying. No. Sorry, they just played the clip. No. They just played the package, and it was Thomas Tuchel, the England manager, saying he's a key player for us, whether as a starter or a substitute.
This is appalling from you. This is the very definition. You know when Donald Trump's moaning about fake news? It's you.
Sorry, I just basically quoted but how what the England manager said.
Okay. How important is context? The reason that he spoke like that is because he was accused of taking an injured player to a tournament. So the reason that he said he's going to be a key player for us, whether he's a substitute or whether he's a starter, is because it was suggested that you shouldn't take a player who has had an injury-ravaged season.
Oh, no. Injury-ravaged career.
Injury-ravaged career, fine. But the reason that he was talking about him being a substitute...
I feel bad here because you're about to make me bury John Stones, and I don't want to. I think John Stones is a fantastic human being, fantastic defender.
You're not going to bury
maybe England's greatest defender... Maybe it's...
We were just a damn good team then. And I always call that team, when I look at, we have some, the greatest players of any era, Banks, Charlton, Moore, Greaves. I mean, they would compete at any level for 150 years.
They're legends, aren't they? They were fantastic heroes, always will be.
The whole feeling of the World Cup being won did certainly change the team. I mean, Ramsey was later going to be knighted.
People would come up and, you know, shake your hand, and it was just, it was absolutely just different, completely different. It was fantastic.
Probably always describe it to me as being on top of Mount Everest.
I defy anybody to look at that film again and come up with a better final commentary than the great Kenneth Wolstenholme.
Some people are on the pitch, they think it's all over. It is now. It's four.
That is one thing that you look back and think, God, that was wonderful.
It's only 12 inches high, solid gold, and it means England are the world champions.
And to think they did it without the star man Jimmy Greaves.
Incredible.
He was the main man, wasn't he, back then? But obviously injury and what have you pointed us in the direction of Jeff Hurst. The reason why we're talking about that is because it is 60 years to the day since England won the World Cup, and the Times are giving you the chance to relive the momentous moment when England won that World Cup 60 years ago today. There's a live blog running from 2 p.m. on the Times website and app retelling the story of that magical afternoon. That's all live at thetimes.com or Times Live app. Well, we've got to do it, haven't we? Seeing as that we fluffed this World Cup just gone, we've got to relive our most greatest moment. So get yourself stuck into that from 2 p.m. And when you're talking about a piece of commentary, can't get better than that from.
Oh, that's brilliant, honestly.
Just everything about it's great. So there you go. Go and get yourself stuck in to that, available on the Times website, times.com. Right, I asked you to get stuck in, ask Darragh a couple of questions before we clear off for the rest of the day. Lots of Newcastle fans, actually. How would you have dealt with the Isak situation of last season, with it being dragged out? How would you have dealt with it?
We all get it at different levels. I've had it. I've had it recently. Player, basically coming and making it clear to first the manager, then the director of football, then the football secretary, and then to me that they're not happy, they don't want to stay. We all know they've been tapped up. There's a move. So then you have a decision to make. Do you put them back in the squad? Are they going to create issues? Are they not going to try a leg in pre-season games? You're going to miss out on other targets. So sometimes the best decision is try and get the best deal possible, knowing that if you wait a few weeks longer, you might get a bit more, but it might do irreparable damage. So I always say be decisive, be efficient, and be urgent and quick, and deal with it.
Which they obviously didn't do.
No, they let it drag on too long.
Have you been in a situation where maybe you have let things... Has that come from experience? You've been in this game 20 years, so you've had moments where it's like, I've got that one wrong.
We've had it where it's dragged on too long and it's caused us issues. We've had ones where we've done it too quickly. There's no perfect answer to this, and you're going to learn on the job, particularly as new owners. When you're under 5 years in a club, I call you new owners. I've been around 20 years. So, like I said, my advice would be is try and get the best deal you can, move the person on, do what's best for your football club, and then go replace them. As much as we have legends and players we all love and adore, nothing lasts forever.
Another question here is about the charges for Manchester City.
Right.
What do you think is a fair punishment?
I don't know, because I don't know if they're innocent or guilty. Because we haven't had a verdict.
What's your view on how long this has been?
It's ridiculous.
It's been going on forever.
It's ridiculous. But I would imagine City have got the best lawyers in the world that money can buy, and that's why it's taken so long. 1 minute you will read stuff about, oh my God, they're going points deductions and this and that, and then you're going to, they're going to win
again until you know the detail.
Again, I've always said this to you. You've all these idiots who come in the media and they sprout about it and whatever else, and they don't really know. So when we know is when the verdict will come out, and then we can read it properly. I've read through it all. I've seen all the charges. I always found it would be very difficult for the Premier League to potentially, prove it all and get what they want. Man City are one of the biggest clubs in the world. They'll get past this. Even if they are punished, they'll still move past it.
Couple of Peterborough fans. Are we shaping up for the new season, boss?
Yeah, we've got a great team spirit, which we didn't have enough of last year. We've got a great manager and management staff. I love the gaffer and his assistant, Ryan. We need some players. We need a few. I'm very happy with what we have, but we probably need 3-4 good signings to come in and just help the squad finish it up, and I think we'll be very good this year. We'll go under the radar. Everyone will have written us off already, but I think we'll be very good.
For those Peterborough fans that are listening to the show,
tell the truth.
He's been grafting.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. In between doing this, I'm dealing with agents, players, contracts on my phone in these 3 hours.
People just think that we're having a jolly in between breaks. He's straight on his emails, straight on the phone. He's sorting stuff out.
Correct.
He's even walking out mid-studio to make phone calls and stuff like that. So he has been doing a bit.
Yep.
You're pretty good at multitasking, mate.
That's my wife tells me every day. Honestly, God, you've no idea the stuff I multitask. If I showed you my day, particularly today, yeah, and look, what a time to be alive. It keeps you going, right?
Do you, regarding the performance season on season, because a couple of seasons ago you were thereabouts, weren't you? You were nearly there.
The last 2 seasons we've been crap, but the last 5 seasons in League One, promotion, playoffs, 18th to 18th, 2 cup wins at Wembley. It's not the worst 5 years ever.
No.
But if you go off last year, it was probably the worst out of the lot. It was the season before we had a lot of other issues. But look, we are. We always like to compete and sit at the top end of the table in League One. We've been written off in part ways where people used to tip us for that. They don't talk about us anymore. So we know what we've got and we know what we need. And there's a long way to go. And some of the fans are paranoid we're going to wait the last week of the window to do this. I am working right now, the best of my ability, to bring in the right players. And I mean the right players. And we can't make a mistake on this. Has to be right for our dressing room and our manager.
And there you go. It comes back to the conversation we had right at the start of the show. Obviously, they've got to hit certain profiles.
Correct.
Character profiles.
Yep, everything, because you've got to have a good dressing room. We had a lot of talent last year, but there were times that the dressing room wobbled. And that happened at the end of the season. We went from bottom of the league to 8th and one win from the playoffs with 15 games to go. And then the beach towels came out and we ended up having a disastrous last 15 games. Different mentality. We need to change that. And we think we have. And now we're just going to add some bits to the top of the cake.
And you're spending the afternoon doing that, aren't you?
I am. I am indeed.
He's grafting.
Yeah. You know what I'm doing this afternoon. Yeah, absolutely.
He's doing a bit. Mate, thank you very much for your company over the last couple of days. Much appreciated.
Thanks, guys.
And thank you very much for joining us as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed the programme. Slightly different tomorrow. I think Crookie's back in this particular chair. I'm back on my normal programme with Coley a little bit later on, and then I'm back on Saturday afternoon. There's lots still to come on talkSPORT. I've no doubt there'll be plenty more Newcastle chat as well. Thanks for your company. I'll catch you next time.
King Edward I, long live the King, gave us the best day that every fan, I'm sure they'll ever remember as a black and white supporter. But he should have gone after Fulham at the last game of the season. And I think the leadership have just let this one get out of control a little bit. They should have took ownership of that after Fulham at the last game of the season.
What was it after that game, mate? What was it at the end of the last season that you saw that you wanted him to move on?
Well, it was before Fulham, lads. So it was unfortunately it was after them lot beat us for the second time at St James's.
Yeah.
Now at full time, for the first time in his regime, a section of the fans turned on him, and I was shell shocked. Just stood there listening, and I just left the grounds just with my mouth shut and obviously devastated. But since that match, and I could be wrong, some of the fans might come on and disagree with me, but there was a turn of feeling and chemistry inside the ground.
Okay.
But for the ownership and the chief exec to sit there and say by 2030...